And it looks like we are live. Welcome to the live stream. Just gonna do some sharing here, as we always do at the beginning of one of these shows. This one's this one's a little different. Times are, I think, a little different from previous ones. But some things are the same as they ever are. Part of it is me getting everything set up. URL ends with woo. New, easier moderation. Don't have time to learn. Leonard Gaming. Hi. Stupid Robot Fighting League is here. Yes. So glad you're able to make it. Just getting my chat all popped out here. There we go. Closing that down. I don't need Streamception. Let's give this a little tweet on the old Twitter machine. And post this on the Small YouTubers Boost Facebook page. Just letting it pull the preview. There we go. And that's good. Now I'll go through, now I'll share it on the Small YouTubers Boost Facebook group. And I will mark it as an announcement and pin it for the duration of the broadcast so people can find it. Mark as announcement. And it will temporarily replace the Motivation for YouTubers video that I have pinned in the group right now. A lot of really positive response to that, so that's great. I'm glad that people are finding that useful. That was a video I've been meaning to make for quite a long time. All right, I'm going to share it. I also run a Vancouver YouTubers group, so I'm just going to post this there as well. Mark it as an announcement, pin it, and again, just for the duration of the broadcast, so people can find what's what. And I'll be doing anything I can to help you today with your channel. I won't be watching any videos or subscribing to any channels for two simple reasons. Well, a couple of reasons, actually. I won't be watching any videos because we don't have that kind of time, and I don't want to deal with copyright issues. People in the past, when their channel, one person in the past, when their channel appeared, for a channel review they requested, I might add, their channel appeared in the auto-generated thumbnail of a clip, and they thought that I was trying to like cash in on their giant success with their very small subscriber count. And like, it was like, you came to my live stream, you asked for channel review, you got channel review, and then that some part of your channel appeared in the thumbnail was upsetting to that person. So full disclosure, that could happen to you. So hopefully you're okay with that. I think I'll also post about this on the Small YouTubers Boost subreddit, which, if you're not familiar, we do have a subreddit. That is it. It has the same basic 4 rules as the Facebook group, and it was created for a couple of reasons. One was that it's meant to be a safe sandbox place where you can practice Reddit, because Reddit's a tricky place. I've told this story before, but basically there was a travel subreddit that I went into back in the day, and they only had 2 rules. Well, no, they had a variety of rules, but there were 2 that were of particular concern for me, and that was 1, only share your own original content. 2, no self-promotion. And if somebody could tell me how to do both of those things at the same time, you're a smarter man than me. I lasted literally 15 seconds before I got banned. So, you know, the guy whose group has banned over 9,000 people for mostly sub for sub has himself been banned from subreddits and other groups. So I've seen it from both sides, for whatever that's worth. How's my audio? Using my Fifine microphone, which there should be an affiliate link down below if it's something you're interested in picking up. It's relatively inexpensive. Yeah, so if anybody could give me the old radio code was for sound checks 5x5. Got a 5 out of 5. I'll take it. It's somebody who, yeah, okay, that works actually. Let me see here in the chat. Pixel Pia Teaching and Learning. Yes, you caught me live. Strange days for all of us, I guess. Beard injury alert. Yes, it's funny. So because of the disease that shall remain nameless, just for fun, why not? Got to make some fun out of it. Because of my day job, I had to shave my beard because if I became symptomatic, and I'm not, I'm symptom free for whatever that's worth. I would be required to wear an N95 mask until I could leave the facility, and it has to achieve a proper seal, and you can't do that with facial hair. So when things got to their highest level of preparedness, I was instructed to shave the beard. But I have been in isolation now for 4 days, and so nobody gives a good goddamn whether or not I have a beard. So, I'm being a little lazy. I actually did something interesting today as a way of, coping with the isolation that everyone is experiencing. Is I had something I called a switch party. So from like 1 to 4 today, I set up my webcam in a Facebook event where I just invited some friends and family. And basically everyone who had a Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Online, we were just playing some online games. But part of the purpose of having the webcam active was as it forces me to go have a shower, shave a little, do some of that stuff, and also clean up the place. And so, I think when you show respect for yourself and your environment, it has a positive effect on your mental well-being. And so that's part of it. And also to just let people see a familiar face and a familiar voice and have a chance to play games. And so we have the voice communication through the phone as well with Nintendo Switch. And so that was really quite nice. And so I think we're going to make it a weekly thing until this crisis is over, assuming that all the infrastructure stays in place and we don't get terribly bored with it. But I have a lot of games, and so that was pretty cool. So that's one thing that you might want to consider doing, and that's just going to be, I'm calling it the social event of the week. And so I wore my shirt here. I've been waiting for an opportunity to wear this. It's sort of like my Saved by the Bell shirt that I got months and months and months ago. I think we had envisioned I would wear it on a cruise ship, but cruise ship's not super popular right now. And in fact, that's what you're seeing here on this screen. These are the views by video for my primary channel, Vacation Impossible. And so one of the major areas that we focus on that channel is cruises. And you can just see in the charts right in front of you how everything is just crashed. So my channel has tanked as a result of the ongoing crisis. And so that sucks. It's like you've got the self-isolation and everything else that's going on to begin with. But then, one of the things that... And I like plugging the work of Simon Sinek. If you're stuck indoors, the books from Simon Sinek, there's a link for this one in the description. Some good reading, I recommend. He's a better speaker than a writer, so I also recommend his TED Talk, which is like the second most viewed TED Talk in all of history. But anyways, one of the things he talks about is sort of like the biochemical things behind happiness. And so one of them is dopamine. And dopamine is something that makes you happy when you accomplish something, or when you're sort of validated in certain ways. So getting lots of likes. Please like the video. Send me some free dopamine. Why not? Doesn't cost you anything. But anyway, so that's one of those things where it's like I'm consciously aware of the fact that like I used to go onto the TubeBuddy app. There's a link to TubeBuddy in the description as well, and see that I was creeping up on my next milestone. In this case, I was creeping up on 750,000 views, 750,000 views, and other milestones like I recently hit 550 uploads. Which I was really quite proud of, because that's one of those accomplishments that you control yourself and doesn't require luck or fortunate timing. Subscriber goals, things like that, creeping up on 2,000 there, and all of it just ground to a halt. And so because I've read the Simon Sinek stuff and I'm kind of conscious of like the 4 different happiness, biochemicals and stuff, I'm like, I know that I'm not getting that regular dopamine of watching my numbers go up. And so I'm at least, hopefully that limits its effect. But I think some people, they say high achievers can be like dopamine addicts because they just want that feeling of accomplishment and achievement. And whether that's good or bad, generally is good depending on what you do with it. That's one of the many things that I think certain kinds of channels and creators are having to go without right now. And I think that's something that's not being talked about, because it's often seen as like, oh, you're not getting the likes, whoop-de-doo, and like it's an ego-driven thing. But for me, most of my videos aren't about me. They're about helping other people go on adventures and save money and experience new things and broaden their horizon. People aren't able to do a lot of those things right now. And so I I genuinely would feel good and happy when I got a comment that I had helped someone, which was really a nice feeling. Somebody would say like, oh, I went on this cruise I never would have thought to go on if I hadn't seen your video, or you just saved me $80 that I was able to go spend on this fun thing. Stuff like that was great. And so that's all gone now. You have to believe that it's all temporary, but that's just one of the things people are struggling with, and so let's just acknowledge it and share it. And so I thought I would show you. So I know that there are a lot of channels that are suffering. I think travel is definitely one industry across the board that is struggling, and in these uncertain times, having things like income sources disappear can add to that anxiety, along with the loss of that dopamine hit. And so it's just all these different things coming in at the same time for a lot of people. And so, I mean, I'm pretty fortunate. I've got a relatively stable, day job and career and family life and things like that. I'm housed. I don't have anything to, I'm not facing some of the challenges that a lot of people are. I'm healthy. I'm well. And so, there are obviously bigger problems, but I think we can care about a multitude of things simultaneously. So, some channels are probably, from what I've been hearing in the Facebook group and in other places, they've been pretty steady. And some channels are taking off because people just have time now. They could be in quarantine or isolation or wherever they are, looking for some entertainment or distraction or education, whatever it is. So I think a lot of people are experiencing very unprecedented things. And I figured the least I could do is go live and try to offer whatever help I can. If nothing else, to be a voice to listen to. So I'll try not to focus on that too terribly much, because I think you're probably hearing about it everywhere. And one thing actually I want to talk about is the late night shows, because I think something very interesting is happening there. I don't know what it means yet, but it's fascinating to me. So I love Stephen Colbert and Seth Meyers, and I'll enjoy watching the odd Fallon clip, and some others as well here and there, James Corden and other people. But there's been this in the community. There's often been they were an easy group of people to point to as somebody who gets like a lot of views, and sometimes they don't follow the rules of YouTube that all the other content creators do. One thing that I've noticed, having the TubeBuddy browser plugin installed, when I'll watch some of their videos, I'll see some of their meta tags are totally misleading. I don't make a big deal out of it, but at the same time, I'm like, it does seem sometimes like they get special treatment. And generally speaking, Western society and society in general has a success bias, a bias towards people who are successful. And these people were already successful before they came along to the YouTube platform. And so they brought a built-in audience. And that's happened to a lot of people in a lot of different ways. There was that woman who was living in her van with her snake or whatever, and she blew up overnight. I forget her name. But people were like, oh, that's overnight success. But what people didn't realize is that she actually had a substantial following on Instagram. So she brought a big part of her Instagram audience over to the platform. So Jimmy Fallon brings a big chunk of his television audience over to the YouTube platform. And so they were interesting to look at, because like they had, over the years, they've tried different approaches with different YouTube strategies, like end cards. Stephen Colbert used to have this really funny end card that I really, really liked, which was something like, go ahead and click subscribe. It's almost as satisfying as skip ad. Which, that's very funny. Doesn't do that one anymore. Maybe it ran its course. Maybe somebody didn't like it at YouTube. I don't know. Made a phone call. Couldn't say. But it was interesting watching how they would do that. And even like watching news channels like MSNBC, I noticed, for example, Rachel Maddow doesn't do any end cards. It always has to be somebody else from the network who's actually speaking in her end card. And I'm wondering, I would love to ask her about that. Like, was she approached? Did she feel like it was not journalistically the thing to do? Maybe she just didn't like the sound of her own voice at the end of every clip. I have no earthly idea. I'm speculating entirely, but I found that fascinating. And so I think sometimes people look to the big channels for signs for how things they can do, things that they can crib, like how did they do it? I'll do something similar, or I'll learn from them. And sometimes I think that trying to learn from those particular people is problematic, because they had that built-in audience. And so they didn't necessarily need to do the 100 small things that I think YouTubers who are sort of 1 or 2 person shows really need to do to get every little technical algorithmic advantage to compete against the big dogs with their built-in audience. And so, and I mean, I don't know, this might be a little petty, but it's like watching them now broadcasting from their homes. I'm curious in chat if you guys have seen any of these, Stephen Colbert from his bathtub, and all the different people, Jimmy Fallon getting his title cards drawn by his kids and stuff. So I'm like, first of all, have you watched those? And if you watch the production quality as a YouTuber, it's interesting to see how these people who are, don't get me wrong, they're very talented and I'm sure they've worked very hard in their careers, but watching them without the support structure of their shows, without, maybe the full graphics team, and with no one there to do audio and no camera person there. And so they're having to do what YouTubers have been doing for years. Now, admittedly, they're doing it on virtually no notice. If they were preparing for isolation or quarantine, they were probably getting supplies like food, and then maybe secondary entertainment things for their families. Most of these people have young children. And so like they weren't buying a pop filter. They weren't buying a Fifine microphone, link in the description. They might not have the cameras and the experience and the technical stuff. And so it's very interesting watching, like, the sound quality is pretty pain. And it's interesting because one of the things that I hear a lot is that sound quality is very important. So like right now, I would judge on this live stream right now, and let me know in the chat what you think. I would say that right now my sound quality is better than my image quality. And so I think I've got my priorities lined up properly, because I think it's easier to watch something that's visually not great but that sounds good versus the other way around, because I think the sound, when you're getting all this wind noise and all these other things that I can show you how to remove, that I think that inspires people to, it's more frustrating than a bad visual, because I think it gives people headaches more. It's easier to look away and still listen, but you can't really close your ears. You can't turn your ears away and not hear. And, watching with the sound off ruins the timing and the punctuation of the jokes. And it's also interesting, too, watching them tell jokes, and they're so used to having applause breaks and an audience and people to feed back on. And I have some experience with this. In my younger years, I did some stage acting, and I did some acting to a camera, like I'm doing right now. All this is just talking, not so much acting. And it's hard going from having a live audience where when the joke worked. If it didn't, you can make fun of yourself for it. You can adjust. If you're losing them, if they're confused, you see it on their faces. If they're angry, frustrated, you can pick up all these cues, and you can make micro adjustments as you go as a performer. YouTubers don't have that advantage. The best we do is hate in the comments days after we've done the filming. So it's interesting that they're having to pull on a skill set that a lot of YouTubers have, by nature of the platform, by necessity, have had to develop over anywhere from days to weeks to months to years, decades perhaps even. So that's really interesting, and and it's just the deafening silence after they say a punchline. Because they're so used to seeming straight-faced about it. I'm kind of shameless about laughing at my own jokes, so I don't need a laugh track. You can just listen to me laugh at myself, because aren't I so funny? But anyways, I just find that stuff really interesting. And so if you are a small, struggling creator and you feel like either in the talent side or the technical side, if you feel yourself lacking, go check out some of these videos. And what's interesting is they're still ending up on the trending tab. They're still getting tons of views. I mean, I've watched them, partly because I feel for them and I kind of miss them, and I'm hoping to see how they adapt. But it's interesting because they've lost a lot of the production support that their rather large institutions provide to them, and yet they're still getting tons of views. But I have to imagine over time, is that going to taper down potentially as maybe people get frustrated with the audio quality and the content? Or alternatively, instead of having that decline, are they going to start raising their game? And are they going to become more technically proficient at what they're doing? And that's very interesting. I think it's also interesting because it makes us all a little bit more aware of what a professional cameraman's value is. And that, the gaffer and the sound guy and all the different people, and then a director and editor and graphics departments and writers. I mean, some of this stuff can be done from home, and some may or may not be, depending on the condition of the staff and what their technical setup at home is and what they're capable of doing, their other responsibilities. Maybe again with small children, it could be hard. So it's interesting watching how everyone's adapting to that. I find that rather entertaining and interesting. And so if you are struggling and you're like, what, my picture quality is not great, my sound quality is not that great, go watch a couple of those videos and realize that the biggest names in entertainment actually face similar struggles when they don't have those supports. And they might be going through a similar learning process as the rest of us. And so that's interesting. Like, people come into the group and they ask what to more experienced YouTubers feel like dumb questions or whatever. And I hate it when people in the group get after them for it, because, yeah, you've heard it 20 times, 200 times, 2,000 times. It's their first time asking. And I would love it. I would love to ask the community to remember that. And don't be like, oh, this is a waste of my time. If it is, scroll past. Getting angry is wasting more of your time and energy. But it's an opportunity to help somebody out, and it could make the world a difference to them. And that is a great feeling that might help replace that dopamine from your numbers if your numbers are down. So maybe this is a time to help other people. That might just be something to think about. So I'm curious what everyone's doing at this time, what they're focusing on. Like, are you using this time, if you have extra time, which might not? Are you going and captioning the old videos? Are you editing stuff that you used to have? Are you punching up your thumbnails? Are you going and learning something new? Here's an example of something I did just the other day when I had a little bit of time. I have my end card that I put up on both of my Vacation Impossible and Small YouTubers Boost videos. And it's a song. It's called Brooklyn Bounce by Cam B, the guy that writes my music for me. And so I always lower it by 1 decibel, and I always shorten it to exactly 20 seconds, because at around 20 seconds, it has a kind of natural drop off. So it's perfect music for an end card. If you've watched any of my videos, you probably heard the music. But every time I would drag the full song, reduce the decibels, and then shorten it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to make a WAV file, lossless. MP3 works fine, but I think it sounds a little better as a WAV. So I made a WAV file. It's now exactly 20 seconds long. I adjust the volume down just slightly, and I also put a proper fade out at the end of the 20 seconds. So now going forward, I'm just going to drop that in every time I have an end card. And it'll be faster for me, and because of that fade that I put in there, I think it'll sound slightly more professional. That's something that I probably would not have done if I hadn't had this kind of some of this time, where normally I might be out, seeing a movie or something. So I think it's kind of interesting. I'm curious what everybody else is doing and how they are adapting. And so I'm going to go chronologically in chat, taking your questions and requests. I just want to first acknowledge some of the people we've got here. Thank you so much for tuning in and providing me some social interaction, and hopefully some for yourself. Hopefully this is good for everybody. We've got Paradise Castle, Kamazoid, I probably said that wrong, Gaming. We've got Mindy T, Sierra Nelson. Who else is in the chat here? Andrew Kirsches, and I do apologize if I'm mangling your name. The Reynold Reed channel is back. Welcome back. Ethan Fraun, I think I've seen you in the comments in some of our videos here on the channel, so glad to see you all here in the chat. So the first person who spoke was Leonard Gaming, and I go chronologically. So the earlier you speak, if you haven't spoken and you're watching and you might have a question later, say something now, and then I'll come to your name chronologically and I'll give you a chance. So I'm just going to see Leonard Gaming, if there's anything here that Leonard said. I don't see anything there that looks like a question or a request, but Leonard, if you're still around and you do have a question or request, feel free to hit it up. You can ask me a question. I can show you a tutorial, take a look at your channel. I won't watch a video, but I can take a look at your video to see some of the technical things in terms of metadata. Maybe I can help you get a video unstuck, if that's what's happening. One thing that I'm thinking about for my channel, Vacation Impossible, is if we assume this is a temporary downswing, this might be a good opportunity to go in and punch up some of those old thumbnails. Because I have some thumbnails that are kind of cringy now, that they're not up to my current standards, but the videos were continuing to perform and get me some measure of views, and I didn't want to mess with the momentum they had. My momentum's trash now anyway, so maybe I should make the time and go back and punch up those thumbnails now, so that hopefully when the industry recovers in the not too distant future, then it will have more professional looking thumbnails, and then we can start getting those videos going again, hopefully. So that's something that I'm thinking about. Stupid Robot Fighting League is here. Beard Injury Alert. The video was very good. I assume you're talking about maybe Vacation Impossible's new video today. I did, on my travel channel, put out a video. The thing with my Vacation Impossible channel is I'm normally about 9 months behind in my editing. So under normal circumstances, I travel quite a bit. Sometimes I'm fortunate enough to travel every other month. In 2016, I took 6 cruises. Not a popular thing to say right now, but I was very proud of that. And so I often have an editing backlog. So I have 9 months of stuff to edit. And so I'm going to continue working through that. I thought about, is it inappropriate to continue putting out travel content right now? encouraging people to travel is the last thing I want to do right now. I want to encourage you to stay home and frankly watch this. Spend time with your family and, maybe learn a new skill, polish something, create some assets for yourself in the future. Maybe now's the time to do maybe a cutout of yourself that you'll use in future thumbnails or whatever. I want to encourage people to do that sort of thing. But at the same time, I thought about it, and I basically decided I wanted to continue putting out content at kind of my regular pace, which is about 2 videos per week, just so that people have something else to watch that isn't the news. And there's nothing wrong with the news. There's some excellent reporting going on these days, and some reporters are doing excellent work, investigating and asking fantastic questions, and I massively respect the Fourth Estate for that. But it can be a little bit much. So like when I'm watching the news, one of the things that I'll do is I use my Chromecast, and so on my phone, I'll be loading up some videos to watch. And so I try to intersperse the news about the world with like sketch comedy bits from from College Humor or something, or Dorkly or something. And I try to keep like a 2-to-1 ratio because the news segments are like 12 minutes and the Dorkly's like 90 seconds. So I'm trying to keep sort of a light mix so that it's not just totally this overwhelming bombarding sound that just does not stop and keeps pushing at you, because there's that sensation that can happen. Oh, that's interesting. Stupid Robot Fighting League, his channel is spiking hard at the moment. Cheers, ESPN. That's awesome. And guys, I do recommend Stupid Robot Fighting League. If you want something to watch, go check them out. I'm just going to go take a look at their Social Blade, see how they're doing. Because this is a channel, frankly, that should have had 1,000 subscribers a year ago. I don't know why it doesn't already. I hope they're getting killer views at least. 577 subscribers. That's criminal for the kind of quality content that they put out and the amount of hustle that John has. This guy's got a lot of hustle. Oh, wow. So, yeah, spiking just over the last couple days. I'm seeing here on Social Blade, Friday, 1,100 views, Saturday, 600. So, maybe give you the small YouTubers boost of getting you like 2 more views for people watching this. But, so that's good. And yeah, okay, you're getting a subscriber growth bump as well. Friday was plus 10, Saturday plus 7. I really hope that growth is sustained for a period, because you deserve it, man. You work hard. And so I would love to see you guys find some good success. Let's see. It's healing. I'd like a thumbnail checkup, please. Cool. You were saying something in chat, I think, last time. I didn't see it until after the broadcast. But it was like I apparently had said some pretty harsh things about your thumbnails in the past. Some strongly worded things. So let's take a look at the thumbnails. Because, there are some challenges around your content. Because you have to really kind of have a wide angle, and because of it's kind of the gritty nature of like the stupid robots. If for those of you who don't know, these are basically like mannequins functionally that bash into each other. So that's why they're stupid, is they have no programming or working motors and mechanics of any kind. They're actually operated by poles that are attached to their operator. But because of that, they're made out of like junkyard scrap a lot of the time, and so they won't have the clean lines of Robbie the Robot, or even like it's a lot closer to Johnny Five. I see a couple here that remind me of that. I think I remember commenting that before, and even that was so. The problem with that is there's a lot of intricate detail, and the challenge with that is that thumbnails get shrunk down very small, and so intricate detail doesn't work great. So let's take a look here. And actually, before I go into talking about thumbnails, here's a nickel's worth of free advice. I am subscribed to the channel, as well all of you should be, but there is not a featured video for returning subscribers. That is an option. So most people are aware of channel trailers. That's the video that automatically plays when somebody lands on your channel page. If you don't have one, find a relatively short video between 30 and 90 seconds if you can, that kind of introduces people to your content, and put that there as a placeholder for now, and then later go and create a proper channel trailer. But that's not the only thing. That is the unsubscribed experience. But for subscribers, you have the ability to pick a featured video. So in Vacation Impossible, what I had was my featured video up until this recent crisis was about a power adapter for cruise ships, which was fantastic. It was like 3 plugs plus 2 USBs, cruise compliant, super small, beautifully designed. And of course I had affiliate links. I made, what was it? Oh, I forget the amount, but I made like 67 cents or something every time one of those sold through my affiliate link. And so I would generate one of those sales like every 3 or 4 days, 5 days, something like that. It wasn't a lot, but it was nice to see. I haven't had a single affiliate link click, much less a purchase, in at least a fortnight, in at least 2 weeks. And so again, that's that. I mean, I wasn't in to make money, but it felt good to know that at least I was still I was active there. You know, I could speak intelligently about it. Now it just flatlines. It's like, oh, okay. It's one of those things we're dealing with. It's a minor thing, but it's still out there. Let's acknowledge it, you know. So anyways, I swapped that out for the story of me surviving the earthquake in Grand Cayman. Because ain't nobody caring about cruises right now, but maybe the story of surviving something that was really scary at the time and turned out to be not so bad might be just the kind of message people might want. I don't know. Let them think about something other than being sick for a change. And so I swapped that out. I've actually restructured my Vacation Impossible channel because and channel friends were top there. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. There is no greater supporter of my work than John, and I love him to bits for it. And so I hope him and his son are doing well. But I retooled my channel layout because it was so focused on cruises. I had Cruise Basics as one of my first playlists and a lot of stuff about that. My Alaska cruise, my Hawaii cruise, different stuff. I took all that off the main page, and instead I created a playlist. And here's an idea: if your channel is struggling because it's in a niche that is just not palatable right now because of what's going on, this was something I came up with, which might be smart. I don't know. I created a playlist of all the funny videos we have. So people need a laugh right now. And so I just went in and I thought of all the funny things. Like John, Vacation Impossible John, and I did this skit about there are 2 places in the United States called the center of the nation. And so there's this skit about us being confused about that. And so there's a lot of funny videos about, where there was a weird thing on a cruise ship one time where the room numbers were like 1, 2, 3, 4, 14, 15, 256, 11, 12, whatever. And so we've got a funny video about that. So I went through, our mukbangs are in this list because apparently they're funny. And so anyways, I just made a playlist of all the videos that I thought were funny. Like, we went to something called Hell's Gate Air Tram, and the tour guide had such a thick accent we could barely understand him, and that's often very funny for people. So I tried to find all of the different things that were funny, and I made a funny playlist. And so I put that on the main channel. And then I also already had a food-based playlist. Again, those mukbangs got in there again, where we were just talking about food, because I figured those are 2 things that people could really want right now. People are looking for comfort food, and, you got to eat, even in the worst of times. What was it in Star Trek 2? He's like, how could you be hungry at a time like this? And Kirk says, well, it's first rule, survival. Or first order of business, survival. So anyways, so now it's about, like, the layout's a little bit more focused on humor and food instead of travel and cruising and road trips particularly. But we're still putting out content so people have something to watch. So anyways, here we got fights first, which makes really good sense. And I see that you have your channel name in the playlist and in the description because, especially with the ESPN coverage, there's probably a lot of people searching your channel name. I bet if you check search volumes for your channel name, it's probably correspondingly spiking. It's probably not just linking that's going through. People are seeing it and be, I got to check this out, as well they should. And so that's really smart what you're doing there. So I think some of the things that you've got here, because again, like I said, the visuals are very busy. And so you need to give focal points for people to look at. And you're doing that very effectively in some of these. You're using outlines very effectively. You're using a color wash on the background very effectively of this red tone, which is very consistent. I had this interesting experience recently where somebody in the group was offering what he called a free class. And so I had some time on my hands. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to find out what this is about. So I asked, where do I sign up for your free class? And his class consisted of him sending me really abrasive feedback about my channel through Facebook Messenger. And so I did my best to stay calm and try to keep an open mind because it's the only way we're going to learn. But he was sort of like, your public speaking is trash. And I'm like, I've been public speaking for over 2 decades. Please be more specific. And he's just like, oh no, just generally everyone's is. And I'm like, so this isn't tailored to me because you just said my public speaking is trash. So I pushed back on that, a couple things, but most of it I tried to keep an open mind. One thing that was really interesting is he talked about the psychology of colors in marketing. And I mean, he didn't teach me anything. He just says you should look into it. And so I was like, well, can you point me to a resource? And he says, Google. Thanks, Tips. Very helpful. Saved me a whole lot of time there. Thank God somebody told me Google existed. Oh my God. They only built the operating system platform for my phone. frustration aside, I did do some reading about it, and it's interesting. So, like the color red is associated with excitement. Also, things like passion and anger, but excitement was one of the ones. And so, I wonder how much consciousness. I'm curious. Let us know in chat, John. I'm actually very curious about this. Why did you select the color red as a theme for your channel? Is it like the blood of robots, or like I'm curious. Is it aligned with YouTube? Do you just like the color? Because you're very consistent with it, and that's great. But it's interesting understanding the psychology around it. So if you want people to trust you, apparently blue is the color. And so for those of you who are in the Facebook group, you may have noticed I changed my avatar recently. It used to have like an orange background, and now it has a blue background. And that's because when I was telling people things like, hey, these are the rules of the group, they would not trust that I knew what I was talking about. Like, I wrote them, I administer them, run the group for 3 years, but they still didn't. And so I'm like, maybe blue will make them trust me more. I don't know. It's like an experiment. But that's something to think about. So for those of you with really early channels or thinking about a graphic redesign, have you actually, and this was the one thing that acerbic person did give me, I did get some value out of speaking with him before he tried selling me on, he wanted me to pay him to run ads for me. And I'm like, yeah, no thanks. He also said that YouTube was dead and a waste of time, and that being on YouTube would hurt your YouTube channel somehow. And I'm like, okay, you're not making sense anymore. But that one thing was particularly useful. So for those of you looking for a graphic redesign, or you're just creating your channel and you don't know what your color scheme should be, maybe do a little reading on the psychology of colors and marketing so that you can kind of know what you might want. Like, for example, black is associated with luxury and death. Weird combination, right? Gray is just pretty much associated with blandness and old age. So it sounds like gray is to be avoided as a primary color, which I would probably agree. I don't think we think of it very much. But it was interesting thinking about it because a lot of airlines use blue. United, JetBlue, WestJet. And airlines is a lot about trust there, right? And so you think about Coca-Cola is very red, and I think that they want that excitement because you got the sugar and the caffeine, and you're out in the world, and you're at a concert, and you're gonna get a Coke, that kind of thing. And so it's interesting to think about. And so I'm wondering if any of that, if you did specific research or if it just felt like something that was right. So I do agree that the outlines really, really help. So for this, there's this black and white one. The color contrast is pretty good. I think if you could also outline them, even keeping it black and white, I think that would make the people pop a little bit, which is good. The third thumbnail here, I think being able to see that person's face a little bit more would be a little better. Because that's pretty expressive and interesting. So if you were able to just move the stuff a little bit away, shrink it down slightly, or just move it somewhere a little bit to see more of that face, I think that's interesting because I have to look at it for a while before I even really notice the face. And that's a really expressive face. There's a lot going on there. And I think that is a little bit more enticing than some of the robot stuff. I'm not sure. And yeah, so like your frame is obviously going to be featured because it's a core part of the videos. How to make Deadline, the stupid robot. That's kind of cool. It feels thematically a little out of place with some of the other thumbnails, but that's okay. That's your upload, so that's not like a themed playlist. Because like how to build stupid robots, yeah, this is like that's what that video is from, and this playlist is a little bit more sort of real life colors and stuff. Not a lot of highlighting, a little bit here and there, and I think that's okay for that kind of a video because that's what people look for. I see you're captioning some of your videos, which is good. But obviously, like an 11-minute video captioning that is a lot. Oh, you do live streams. That's crazy. I didn't even know you did live streams. Looks like it's been a little while, but that's cool. Product reviews. Will it smash? That's funny. I did a will it stick video for the Carnival Legend in Alaska. I was testing what walls were magnetic to hang things on. And so it's a similar theme. I don't think that video did great. Chatter Telephone by Fisher-Price. This playlist is incomplete. In terms of putting it on your homepage. So I would probably not put this playlist on the homepage. And so your popular uploads, it's interesting because it's a different thumbnail aesthetic than some of the things that you're using currently. Now, obviously, these videos have taken some time to accumulate views. And so we're seeing things between 1 and 3 years old here. But it is interesting how like some text with some text with a red background and very minimal text seems to be, assuming that the thumbnail has anything to do with the view count, a bit of an associational relationship here. And that's kind of interesting. And so I think that's worked for you well in the past. It would be interesting to see the spread of when you got those views. And so if it's just been a slow burn, then that might just be the content. But if you had like strong peaks, then it might be the thumbnails. I'm not sure. It'd be interesting. One thing that you can do in Creator Studio now is check your click-through rates. You can sort videos by click-through rates to see what your best are and see if there's a thematic graphic view there that because there's so many things that can go into a video being successful or not, including timing, titles, description, SEO, where it's shared, timing, so many different things. But when you just look at the CTR, the click-through rate, and you can sort by that in Creator Studio Beta, then that kind of isolates that data point. And then you can kind of see. So if they all have a red tinge, keep up with that. If they all have the words with the red background, if that's your higher CTR, maybe trend towards that. What I wish you could do, developers out there, people constantly ask me, what do you want? People are always trying to get me to endorse their app, and it's often trash. There's some good ones out there. TubeBuddy's obviously the best. Viral Stat's pretty good as well. I would like someone out there because it doesn't appear to be doable in Creator Studio right now. I would like someone out there to design a tool where I can see my CTR from worst to best. Because even when you sort in Creator Studio Beta, it's best to worst, and yeah, you could try to go to the end, but then it caps how many you see at like 200 or something. And with somebody with 550 videos, I'd love to know what my worst CTR is, and then go attack that thumbnail. But I can't find that out. Currently, I don't know if there's a tool that can do that, but somebody please, TubeBuddy, if you're watching, hook us up. If it's technologically feasible, I don't know. The API might not allow for it. So, I don't know. Hopefully that was somewhat useful. I'm not sure that it was. Let's see what's going on in chat. Mr. Sykes Gaming is here. Entoworld is here. Welcome to the party. Let's see here. Another video about motivation. Yeah, I'm really proud of that motivation video. I really recommend people watch that. Oh, it was the banner I trashed. You have a very nice banner. I mean it. It was extremely hard to thumbnail. Yeah, it really is. Taking notes, cool. I hope they help. Is White Spot delivering? The White Spot's a funny story because they used to do something called the takeout taxi, which was ridiculously expensive. They would literally put your food in a taxi and have the taxi take it to your house. And this was in the days well before Uber and Lyft and Uber Eats and all those things. But the takeout taxi was like the most expensive way to get food. And that White Spot is within walking distance, although Raleigh shouldn't be out in the community right now. So I don't know if they are offering delivery, probably through Uber Eats. Uber Eats and some other things are doing a lot of free or super cheap delivery to help people get through this time and support small businesses particularly. You might not be able to get it so much from a chain. Local places, I think they're supporting a bit more that way, but that might be something that we look into. We did just recently order Domino's though, and I have to share this as sort of the proud parent moment. Wow, that's buried. But I asked my kid to make a sign for the pizza guy. So Domino's has this thing where you can do something called contactless delivery, and you just tell them where to leave the food. If you prepay on the website, and they'll do it. It works great. So I just said you had to make a sign, and it had two criteria. It has to be clear, and it had to include the word please, and he did a great job on that. So that did the job there. So that's one thing. If you're, if you could use a little pick-me-up, not that, food is the best way to find happiness, but in these trying times, hey, let's use what works, right? If you want a little pick-me-up and you want to help your supplies last a little longer, Domino's, their wings, their pasta. I wish they'd sponsor me, but, they made, day 2, 3, and 4 of my quarantine, or isolation, not quarantine, isolation, a little better. And so I thought, spread the word. All right, let's see. Who else we got kicking around? Pixelpia, teaching and learning. Yes, you caught me live. Audio is good. Fantastic. We all try to find ways to keep the mood up. Absolutely. And you know what? And it's okay if you don't. If you have moments where you're sad, where you're worried, don't beat yourself up over that. That's going to be a natural reaction. Just, take your time, feel it, listen to the music that goes along with it, or watch the video that goes along with that. And then hopefully give yourself the time and the space to feel it and then move past it. As best you can. Don't force yourself to try and just fake being happy all the time, because I don't think that's sustainable either. But yeah, I mean, if there's things that we can do that we enjoy, now is the time to maybe watch that TV show or YouTube channel that you've always meant to watch but never had the time to. And so try to find some positives here. I'm using my time to improve my editing skills, just making some stupid things to practice. Yeah, that's cool. And, maybe you could find a venue to share the stuff too, possibly. It's totally up to you. Don't forget to give. Yeah. Oh, a thumbs up. Like, hopefully on this video, give it a like, please and thanks. Let's see here. Have watched and laughed a lot. You'll get a new understanding for YouTube. I think so. YouTube is... they've sent a lot of their staff home, as well they should, and as a result, they're not doing as many manual reviews. They've recently published something. They tweeted about it. I haven't read it yet. It actually explains why they can't do manual reviews from home, or at least not as many as they would in the office. I'm very curious to see what that is, so I'm going to hopefully find some time to read or watch whatever that is. I only saw it a little earlier today when I was in the middle of hosting my Switch party with my fancy shirt. But yeah, that having been said, I mean, they have an amazing burden technologically because of the amount of content that's constantly being uploaded and that people are constantly watching. And so the fact that that service has remained largely stable is kind of impressive. My understanding is that Netflix's servers are getting slightly overloaded, and so I believe it was in Europe they said that they're only going to be broadcasting in standard definition for like the next period of, 2 to 4 weeks or something, just because their servers are overloaded. But we haven't been seeing such things from YouTube. And so the simple fact that people have been sent home, but their infrastructure is maintaining itself or is remotely maintained, or that they've got people who are getting the job done, it's actually kind of impressive. And yeah, we might be having a little bit more takedowns and longer for manual reviews and dispute resolutions, and hopefully everyone can remain patient about that. And YouTube understandably is erring on the side of making things less available than more. And I think in a world where false news and panic can spread too quickly, I think they're erring on the correct side if they had to choose between the two. And this is coming from a free speech guy. My philosophy in my Facebook group is if you don't break the rules, you're allowed to say whatever the heck you want. And sometimes I approve crap I hate, but I'm a free speech guy, so I got to allow it. But yeah, I think YouTube deserves props. I'm not just sucking up because YouTube has scorned and abandoned me in my time of need. They're not supporting me, which I'm not expecting them to, because it's I can't expect them to force other people to watch stuff people don't want to watch right now. And so actually, I'm not just sucking up to YouTube when I say this, because, God, they'll never see this. I'm too small. But I genuinely mean it, that I think that it's actually technologically impressive that they've maintained things as well as they have so far. And I hope and trust that they'll continue to do so. And I think that's cool. Yes, and you are correct. I don't know what I was correct about, but thank you. We've watched and laughed a lot. What do we have here? They'll have to start to watch a lot of no-name YouTubers to learn. Oh, that's probably talking about my rant about the late-night hosts. They might. And it's funny, like, they might be watching some Roberto Blake, like I did, to learn some of the things that I know now about various aspects. I think the thing I learned most from him was probably Photoshop tricks for thumbnails. Maybe less relevant for the late-night guys, but nevertheless. Dumb questions usually help me think of how do I do my own work. And I think that's a great point. And, I did customer service training for 8 years. And so there's always that. There's no such thing as a stupid question. There's absolutely stupid questions. But I think it's a very narrow definition. I think the dumb or stupid questions that are legitimately that way is when someone already knows the answer. And so maybe they just forgot. So we all have a dumb moment every now and then. Or maybe they haven't drawn the connections. Or maybe they're wasting your time. Maybe they're trolling, throwing spitballs from the back of the class. The only dumb questions are the ones you already know the answers to. Everything else is fair game in my books. And these people, I assume, who ask what we would consider entry-level or dumb questions, they just don't know yet. And so if it's a dumb question, then the answer is probably easy. So type out the quick, easy answer and be a damn hero to them. Why the heck not? It's a nice thing to do. But I do think that actually watching that experience is helpful because, like I've said many times, there's 100 small things that small YouTubers need to do to maximize their chance for success on the platform. And that's too much to remember all the time. And so seeing some people earlier in their journey can be beneficial because it might remind you of something that's fallen by the wayside. Sometimes it's nice to remember when you were on that part of the journey, and because it can give you this nice little like signposting moment of like, I was here and now I'm totally out of frame. I was here and now I'm here. Like, let's take a moment and appreciate that I've made that journey of learning. And it is 100 small things, and they're small. And so when you learn them, you're like, aha, I'm going to go do that right away. That was me when I learned end cards, info cards. I'm like, oh, I have a whole backlog of hundreds of videos I got to go work on. Different things. When I first got TubeBuddy, And so, but then you move on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And before you know it, you've actually accumulated all of this knowledge. Like these live streams I'm doing right now, this was not my idea. People in the Facebook group were asking me questions. I was doing my best to answer when I could. So just getting a question here. Somebody has a link to color psychology, wants to know if they should post it to the Facebook group. Oh, yeah, no, that's cool. Just make sure you include a description. Just say, hey, Ray's live stream, he was talking about the color psychology. Here's the link that might explain it to you. Boom, that's a good description. We'll approve that post every time. So anyways, what was my train of thought just then? Oh, yeah. So I never wanted to do these live streams initially. It wasn't my idea. Somebody just subscribed. Awesome. Thank you. It wasn't my idea, but I was answering questions in the group, and that's a little tricky to do in text because it's really kind of one-on-one. I mean, other people might see it, but it can be a little time-consuming. And so people were asking me to do this. They wanted channel reviews. They wanted a video for me to explain things. That's where those SEO videos come from. That's where that motivation video comes from. That's where these live streams come from. And when they first asked, like 2 years ago now or something, a year and a half at least, I was like, why me? Like, there are experts who do this. And people said, well, we want to hear it from you, which was nice. I mean, the fact that they trusted or enjoyed my way of putting things. I made things make sense, maybe. I don't know. And also maybe it's like I'm not talking down to them. I certainly hope. I try not to do that because everyone's at a different point in their journey. And so I was like, okay, well, all right, I'll give it a try. And I'm like, I'm going to sit here. No one's going to show up. Chat will be dead and I won't have anything to talk about. They're going to ask me questions I won't know the answer to. But so far, I haven't stopped talking yet. And chats have been almost always jumping. So I really appreciate you guys. And I hope that, that'll give you some value and stuff. But that's the thing about seeing people at different points in their YouTube journey. You might feel a little nostalgic. Oh, I remember when I thought that it was a good idea to do that, and it totally wasn't. And you can appreciate how far you've come. It doesn't necessarily have to be an ego thing, but it can, take pride in developing new skills and stuff like that. I'm working on editing skills. Just moved from editing on phone to PC, so there's a lot to learn. There really is. People often ask in the group what video editing software I recommend, or anyone recommends in the group, honestly. I have been using Adobe Premiere Pro since 2001. Since version 2.0, I am super old school. And I mean, obviously, I've upgraded with the versions along since then. So I think I'm using CC circa 2015 or something now. 2019 maybe, I don't remember, but anyways, I do recommend, this is I'm an incrementalist. I believe in slow and steady progress and learning new things, but when it comes to video editing, I want to strongly encourage people to go straight to Adobe Premiere Pro for a couple of reasons. One, the different programs that are out there, let's talk about Sony Vegas for a second, because I tried dabbling in that, or even Microsoft Movie Maker, if you want to talk a free thing. I dabbled in that a tiny little bit here and there for one-offs. There was one video codec that somebody sent me I couldn't use in Premiere for some reason, and so I tried Vegas Pro, and it drove me insane. So now instead I'll just convert the codec and use it in Premiere. Premiere is fairly intuitive. The basics of editing, cutting, trimming, adjusting volume levels, dirt simple. But it's also really robust software that you can do almost anything short of intense graphics, all in that piece of software. There's a lot of stuff out there. And again, I'm not sponsored by them or anything. Although Adobe cash, please. Sure. I'll take it. But the thing about it is that it's relatively intuitive. There's so many resources, YouTube videos, discussion forums, websites, all sorts of things that can show you things. I could answer a question or two, certainly. And so it's great. It's got a great community support and information out there. And so if you were to start with Movie Maker, to upgrade your skill from Movie Maker to then Vegas Pro or something, it's almost starting over again. And so you're not really building on the information because the workflow, the intuitiveness of the software, it's completely different. So even though I think I'm relatively strong for what I do in Premiere Pro, I took one step into Sony Vegas. It scared the hell out of me. I went running back to Premiere Pro as fast as I could because it was also different. I felt like I was back in 2001. How do I cut a clip? What do I do? And so it's resetting the process when you change software. So this is one of those situations where I say, no, jump to the end. Go straight to the powerful thing that, Deadpool 2 was edited on. And not for resale, a documentary that I backed on Indiegogo that I recently watched the Blu-ray of, which is awesome, by the way. Highly recommend it. That was done in Premiere Pro. A lot of real professional stuff is in Premiere Pro. I'm not a Mac guy. If you're a Mac person, maybe go straight to iMovie, because I think some movies have been edited in that. I don't know. But that's what I go to because it's intuitive, basic functions make sense, and if you just want to use the basic, you can do that without having to learn the whole thing. But then when you want to add that one other skill, I want to know keyframing, I want to know chroma key, I want to know, crossfades, whatever it is that you want to do, noise reduction, you can just add that little skill in, build it like Lego, and then you've got the Voltron of editing knowledge. How's that for a metaphor? And so, yeah, for editing, I do recommend go straight to the professional stuff and just slowly learn so you can build on it. And these programs are going to be around forever. I don't know about some of these other programs, what their shelf life is going to be, but Adobe ain't going nowhere. Let's see, what else did Pixel say? See if there was a question or request anywhere. Stay home and learn with me, the new slogan for my channel. I like that. That's good. I support that. I have a great link for a website about... Oh, you were the one who was asking about that. Yeah, like I said, post it in the group in the description. That's awesome. Okay, posted it. Cool. I am doing this instead of approving things right now. So, although, hey, guys, if you want, I could totally show you what approving posts looks like. I've kind of wanted to do that for a while. Although, I'm a little worried that I get, super ragey. But it might... I don't know if it's entertaining. The crazy part is that my late husband, sorry to hear about your husband, was a videographer. Back then I was totally uninterested. When I turned 60, I decided to learn how to film and edit videos. Today I had wished I'd learned then. I think it's really sweet that you're following in that hobby. I mean, I imagine you're doing that for yourself, but it's still, I don't know. It's a really personal question, so absolutely feel free not to answer this. But do you feel that as you learn, you feel like you understand him a little bit better? You feel a little closer to him? I mean, if that is a tertiary benefit of this process and journey you're on, I think that's fantastic. And just want to say that that's a real special thing if that's the case. But Pixel Pia, I have to ask, do you have a question or request? Or, what can I do for you today? Other than asking, super personal questions. And, I mean, as YouTubers generally, regret's a thing that we all struggle with because get me a time machine! I'll be the richest man on the planet! I give PewDiePie a run for his money. If I knew take me back to 2009 with the knowledge I have today, and I will rule the world. I'm not talking about the Biff Tannen Sports Almanac thing of going and betting on the right Super Bowl winner. I probably wouldn't remember that anyways. Not my thing. Stanley Cup maybe. But anyways, no, this is about the stuff I know now about YouTube would make huge stuff. Okay, we've got somebody just pointed me that I should look for a question. Etna World. My channel is based on a vlog. For now, I do relevant talks and how to do certain things. I keep on uploading at least 3 times a week. That is a robust schedule. I respect that hustle. But don't have enough views. I don't know what I'm missing. Enta World, I strongly recommend you check out, when this live stream is over, the motivation for YouTuber videos on this channel, because I do kind of talk about that. And what that really comes down to is knowing the why of why you're on YouTube. I wish this book didn't glare so much. But if you know the why, then the views are great for that dopamine hit, but they don't necessarily matter to the same degree if you're pursuing your why. So here's an example. My channel, as I showed you with the stats at the opening of this broadcast, it's tanking. My views off a cliff. And so I was editing. I had to decide what kind of video to make today. And I have some footage from my road trip last August where we drove from Vancouver to Indianapolis and then back through Edmonton. It's this epic. It was a 17-day, 12-state, 2-province, 2-country trip. Awesome trip. And so I'm going through the footage, and so I'm thinking to myself, the video I put out today is sort of like a road trip vlog, where I'm just talking about where we're going, what we're doing, and I think it's a little funny, but honestly, if it wasn't for this downturn, I'm not sure I would have put that video out, because that video is not the kind that would perform well for my channel. It's that is a passion of mine, because I think it's it shows me and my friendship with my friend John, who's going on the trip. I think that it shows you know, some nice things about what it's like to be on a road trip and stuff like that. But it's not SEO friendly. I'll just own that. It's not searchable. Nobody is searching a road trip from Great Falls, Montana to Vulcan, Alberta, or Edmonton, Alberta, however you want to look at it. So the SEO for that is trash. But that's the kind of video I've been making something like that since 2001. And so the why of trying to show people what you get out of travel, the you know, how when you travel with someone, your friendship deepens, and the experiences and the jokes and the things along the way. And so ultimately, I attacked that video with vigor and passion this morning in editing it, even though I know, in fact, I'm going to check the views on it right now. I'll be surprised if it gets 34 views, honestly. It's going to make me 1 cent if I'm lucky and get like 34 views. It's at 8 views. Okay, that hurts a little. That was worse than I expected, but 11 views depending on how you look at it. But that's pretty bad for my channel. Generally speaking, on Vacation Impossible, the threshold for success is like 1,000 to 1,100 views. So to make something that gets 11 views, if the views was my focus, would make me want to quit, right? But I'm proud of that video. I like that video. I'll go back one day and watch that video. And so when you're doing it for yourself and your why and your passion, then even when the world has forsaken you for whatever reason that might have nothing to do with you, you still want to get up every day and get it done and make that content because ultimately it's for you. And YouTube is a marathon, not a sprint. And so if you're making it for you, you're going to have that energy, that core reserve, that interest. I can't not create a video. I just can't. I would be in a straitjacket over after a period of time, I think. It's, I never thought of myself as a creative. I don't like labels like that. But honestly, if I'm not teaching or performing or editing a video or writing a blog or something feels off kilter. Roberto Blake says, create something awesome today. And he talks about this. And actually, watching his videos helped me realize this about myself. It was something that I didn't really realize until I took that step back. And so even if I have no audience, I'm still going to be creating stuff. I might be the crazy bearded guy in a corner muttering to himself, but I'll feel better than if I wasn't putting out something anyways. I can't not. And so here's a I don't know, this might be a little dark, but here's a crazy thought. And one of the reasons I create my videos, I have a lot of different reasons. And that's partly why I stay constantly motivated. One of the reasons for my travel videos, even if it's something that nobody's ever going to watch and it's for me, here's this crazy thought. What if one day my mind goes and my memory goes? And so I am in some sort of facility somewhere, right? Alzheimer's, whatever. Someone could bring me a tablet with my videos on it and say, hey, you did that. And I'll instantly remember. I would like to think that I'd instantly remember at least something about who I am. That's a little dark, I admit, but that's in the back of my mind. And when I make a video like this, I'm going to tell you this. No matter what I've forgotten about myself, no matter where I am, somebody puts that in front of me, there's going to be a smile on my face. Right? So think about that. I mean, I know it's a little crazy, a little dark. Hopefully it's not too depressing. Particularly in these times, it's a strange place to go to. But honestly, if here's a thought. Like, yeah, let's say that's sort of a scenario. You're in the retirement home, and somebody's like, oh, hey, you remember your YouTube channel? Watch some of these videos. What about it is going to make you smile? Is it going to be like, damn right, I got 4 million views? I haven't, by the way, not yet. Maybe one day. Is it the numbers and the views that's going to make you smile? Or is it something else about it? I remember that amazing adventure. I remember all the people that video helped. Something like that. I think that's going to mean more than the views. You think, hey, I made X amount of money off of that video? Maybe. That might be part of the passion. I'm not speaking to you specifically. I'm just saying people in general. But I think when people struggle to keep going, one thing to remember is just the people who show up consistently are the ones that find long-term success. One of the things that Simon Sinek talks about in his books, again, there's an affiliate link down below. Not that anyone will click it. It's okay. I'm not bitter. I don't blame you. I blame the world. But he talks about something called the infinite game. And so the idea is that if you are an infinite player playing an infinite game, you're in the game because you enjoy it and you want the game to continue, not because there's one specific short-term goal you want to hit. Finding an audience is a result. Getting paid is a result, and whatever. But if you understand your why and your passion, and that will sustain you during difficult times and over the long haul, and that's what'll keep you coming back. I could be playing Hyrule Warriors on the Switch right now. I love that game. I'd love to be playing that right now, but I find this more fulfilling. So when you have those sorts of things and it fulfills something in you where you can't not, when you found your passion, I think that comes across. And the audience respects it. And even if they don't, you're the one who's going to keep doing it year after year after year. I've been filming for 19 years for travel stuff. And I was filming some stuff even, before that, back in high school. In fact, if you want to see me in high school, Vacation Impossible, there's a video called Wrath of the Vending Machines that I filmed in high school. It's got a content ID match on it, so I can't make anything off of it because I used some Duran Duran music in it because, it was like 98 and I was retro even back then. But, I had to make stuff. I just couldn't not. And so if that's you, if you hear yourself in anything that I'm talking about, if you're identifying with any of this, then you probably have that spark that's going to sustain you, while all the short-term players, those playing the finite game, will drop off. They will drop off because they don't find the success they want, or they don't find it fast enough, or they run out of resources. Passion is a resource. They're going to run out of that. So we see tons of people coming into the group, and they're just, I'm thinking of quitting. And honestly, part of me wants to say, you know what, you probably should, if that's what you're thinking about, depending on how serious they are. I mean, we all have dark moments where, my views are gone, I should give up. But then a day or two later, I can't not. I go back to it. I go back to it every time. It's just a matter of how long is the break possibly going to last. For me, it gets shorter and shorter every time. So if you've got that passion, then you're going to be the infinite player, and you're going to outlast the competition because you're in it to sustain the game. You're not in it to win. You're not in it to beat your competition. What does that even look like on YouTube? Okay, yeah, maybe I got more views than some other channel covering the same topic today, but what's going to happen with the algo in the future? I made this video in 2010, I think it was. Took a train trip to Portland, and I saw something in a Fred Meyer that was called Leninade. And it's like an orange soda. And I'm like, that's very funny. So I did a soda review on my travel channel. It's completely out of place. I had a blast making that. I have a political science degree. I studied socialism, communism, stuff like that. So it was full of puns. I was having a lot of fun with it. I made it. I uploaded it. It got 34 views in like its first year, and I forgot it existed. But it fulfilled something inside of me for a period of time, and I was still glad it was out there, even though I'm wearing this ridiculously wide-brimmed, not quite Indiana Jones hat, and it's a little cringy and embarrassing. But I didn't want to take it down because I had fun with it. I created something. That's great. Years later, like 5 years later, it started getting views. I didn't even know it was happening. It started getting views, 10 a month, 100 a month, 100 a day here and there. And so it's spiked and dropped off since then, but it's been this slow, steady performer behind the scenes. It's up to, I don't know, like 300 or 3,000 views now or something. For the channel, it's a success. And it gets comments, and that's actually what clued me in. Is I started getting comments, and people were getting in on the action. They were getting in on those communist puns, and they were making jokes about it. They were asking where I got it. They were saying how funny they thought the video was, and that is crazy, right? But that's what happens to the infinite player when you're in it for the long haul. I've said before that imagine that YouTube. You can imagine it's a lottery. I think that's a good metaphor. Or you could imagine that it's like a bunch of little toy soldiers, maybe mechanized ones, right? And you send, each video is a little toy soldier out in the world, and it's just going and going and going, right? It's got an Energizer battery that might never run out. And so you don't know where it's going to go. It might fall in a ditch and never be seen again. It might fall into that ditch immediately and then 5 years later drag itself out of the ditch and start performing for you, and you don't even know it's happening. And that's awesome if you ask me. It's mind-blowing. So you might not be getting the views now, but if you're an infinite player, you never know when that dead video is going to come back to life. And it might be kind of cringy. And maybe people watch it because it's cringy. Maybe they're watching it ironically, but you're still getting those views in that situation. So it really depends. Like, I think that I think a lot of finite players can be turned into infinite players when they find their why and their passion. But if you're in it for, and I'm not saying you are, but if someone watching is in it for, I want to make money as fast as possible, that can be fine. Make that your passion. Don't pretend it's something else. Don't be out there being like, I don't know, makeup or something. When entrepreneurship is what you care about, so that's what your video should be about, I think. And when it is, you're going to succeed. And so, I want to get back to Pixel to see if they had a question. Ooh, TestTube is here. Awesome. Welcome to the party. That's one of the moderators of the group, who, honestly, I can't imagine running the group without my mod team. Nothing but love for the mods. They're amazing. They put up with my shenanigans. Maybe a little more than they should, but I don't want to push my luck. They're really great. They put me back in line if I get out of line. Sometimes I get a little emotionally worked up and I have to recuse myself from dealing with somebody because they set me off, and they step in without missing a beat, and it's fantastic. So I have to say good things whenever they're around because I mean it. Did you see my question? Not sure. But anyways, what I was just going to say is that when you find your passion, you become the infinite player. The finite player wants to beat the competition on their video or in business in the next quarter, in the next year. They don't generally look much beyond that. And the thing is with that video, that toy soldier is constantly out there. And so, yeah, they might beat you now. But if they drop out of the game, stop making videos, like, I don't know, Hot for Words or somebody, one of those older YouTubers that doesn't make stuff anymore, but your video's still out there, and you're still making videos, and you're still promoting your content, and every now and then you link back to an old video in your info card or end card, or something that's relevant, hopefully. And that thing keeps going. And so they might get 1,000 views in the first week, and then almost nothing. And you might be getting 10 views a week, but over a decade. Depends on how you define winning, I think. And for me, it's being able to stay in the game. I'm going to try and find Pixel's question here. And yes, I understand what his love for it was, but gosh, how much I could have learned. Yeah, and again, we all need those time machines, right? With what we've learned and opportunities we would have missed to try and succeed. And I got rid of all of his editing equipment and software. Today, I wish I had it all. Yeah, I mean, but the thing with that is also the equipment and the software does progress over time. So, like, a lot of people would have been, even probably 2 decades ago, maybe 1 decade ago, still using like XLRs to hook things up. But now most microphones, you can get a USB connection. It's all digital, and it's less equipment that way. The software goes through its evolutions. I was using Adobe Premiere Pro CS6 for the longest time because it was the last time that you could just buy the bloody software and own the software instead of paying the subscription model where I pay for access to the software. I'm generally not a fan of software as a service, one exception being TubeBuddy because they're freaking awesome. But generally speaking, I'm not a fan of it. I had to get over it because if I wanted to go 4K, I had to get up to CC, right? And so I hate to say it, but a lot of the stuff, the equipment and software may be antiquated depending on the time frames we're talking about. Let's see. I just have to learn on my own, but from time to time I laugh at it and think if you can only see me now putting the two videos together per week. 2 videos per week is a hustle. I respect that. I started to learn something new. I'm a teacher that can't teach now because I'm a full-time caretaker of my handicapped sister-in-law, so I do educational videos instead. That is a lovely story. That is a lovely story. I still don't know that I found your question. Where's the question mark? Yeah, hi, Melanie. Well, clearly I didn't see the question. Unless it was about... Yeah, I have no idea. I missed something here. But you know what I want to do? Even though they haven't asked. I want to go take a quick look at that channel's About page. It's always funny when the graphic takes a second to refresh. Okay, cool. Let's go take a look here. Oh, you got a welcome video. That's awesome. I kind of like the black and white style there. Let's see. You will find information examples on how, why, and when you as a teacher, as a parent, and as a student can reach the educational goals with the aid of technology, YouTube, and social media in form of, I think you mean the form of, tutorials and reviews. I'll show you how to use specific programs and apps, how different platforms online can be valuable as educational tools, and how you can create interesting and fun learning experience using technology. I also have videos about educational methods assessment and hot school topics. Stay home and learn with me. I upload every Monday and Wednesday. Ooh, public upload schedule. Oh, it's on the banner. Ballsy. As long as that doesn't stress you out, go for it. If I and if should probably be capitalized. If you're interested in coming to chat with me, go to live here. Temporary not. Yeah, you see that link there is not clickable, so somebody would have to copy and paste that. Also, this link here, you've got channel and then these characters, but I notice you have 510 subscribers. So if you have not yet got your custom URL, get it. I've got a video here on the channel you can watch later all about the benefits of a custom URL, but it's situations like this where someone might have to copy and paste or do a search. And somebody was actually asking about this in the group earlier today, so I should probably show. Always use a prop if you can. Makes things a bit more visually interesting. Business cards. Okay, when you've got your custom URL, then you can put it on a business card. It looks way more professional than the sort of the random characters. This business card was before I got my custom URL, so I didn't even mention YouTube on it. I've got the Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram on this older version. This is the new one. But get the custom URL. So in situations like that, instead of /channel/ UCTQGXM blah blah blah, you can say just youtube.com/vacation impossible, youtube.com/small YouTubers boost. Makes sharing a breeze. And so it's interesting here. I just happen to notice that your personal story isn't contained in the About page. And I'm not saying whether or not you should, but I would just think that it's something. Oh, I see. The live is a separate channel because you got it as your featured channel. And that has That's an interesting split. But that also has 131 subscribers. So for this, you still should be able to get a custom URL. So the point stands. And so I don't know if you want to put anything about your personal story in there. Just quickly scanning this here. But I think personally, I really identify with your personal story. That makes me more inspired to want to support you because I can see some of your why in there. I think I can see some of where it comes from, what you're passionate about, what you care about, and that's the kind of thing that connects that your audience on that deeper level where they'll subscribe. And then if you're very, very lucky, you'll end up with a supporter like John from Stupid Robot League, who is like my favorite person, because they will really support you through thick and thin, and it makes a huge difference. Oh, you have subscribers, but not views, and don't know why. I can help, I think. Oh, you do have a custom one. Okay, so any place where you're using that long form, just replace it with the custom one. Looks better, and it's a little bit easier. How are you getting subs if you don't have views? Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on how you look at it. Because maybe you're just converting a lot of the views that you get. Because you've 9,000 views, 500 subscribers. You got more views than subscribers. And I see, yeah, okay. I mean, everyone's at a different point in their journey, but I see that the view count here, they do seem on the low side. You got a 16. Seems to be the low water mark for 11. Just curious. I want to take here. Yeah, well, maybe I'll take this 11 view video and dive into that. Let me just see if there's another contender on the home screen here. Got a lot of content here, which is good. Social and emotional learning. Does it belong? Okay. So let's take a look at the social and emotional learning video here. It's 1 month old, it has 11 views. It's nearly 9 minutes long, so the runtime is substantial that were people watching and sticking with it, you could start to generate watch time. So it's not like it's super short. If it was 34 seconds, I wouldn't try fixing this. But one thing is, and you have a consistency of design here, I see, where it's Pixel PL teaching and learning in the thumbnail. I would actually consider removing that. It takes up a fair bit of space. People would have to read through that to get to the core subject of that video. And it also looks like in the bottom right-hand corner, you have something referencing your channel name again. So on this thumbnail, you've got a couple things that are great. Your border is nice. I like that. It's consistent here in this playlist, so that's fantastic. one thing and this could be a little tricky depending on that picture, is you've got what looks like a bunch of kids sitting around looking at something, and if I look at it carefully, I realize that it says empathy. And it's sort of like the a hostage letter from the magazine cutout style. I know that's not what it's intended, because it's like a chalkboard, I mean a cork board or whatever. But what I'm thinking about here is if we took out Pixelpia teaching and learning, and instead then moved social and emotional learning up. Maybe we put that all on one line. Even if we put that on one line, I think you could make the font a little bigger. So at a glance, people could really quickly see and read, because people are lazy and their eyes are lazy. Instead of asking them to read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, depending on how you're counting, really you're asking them to read 3 words: social, emotional, learning. That's interesting. Does the "and" need to be there? That might risk changing the subject. I don't know. So social and emotional learning, or you could do social/emotional. I don't know. Less is more when it comes to thumbnails in terms of text. I mean, it's true in a lot of things. When I'm sending, an email, I get worried the longer it gets, because I think with every line, paragraph, word sometimes that I add, I think I'm decreasing the likelihood that they'll bloody read it. They're just gonna be like, wow, that's a lot of text. I mean, it happens with me when people post in our Facebook group and they write a novel. I sometimes just can't be bothered. I'm like, I don't have time to read this right now. I might be doing this while I'm walking someplace, which I probably shouldn't do, on my phone or something. Like, I might move on to something that's a little easier, right? Because people are lazy. And so what we want to do is draw them in with great ease, hook them, and then get that information in there. And so this is the hooking, this is the selling of ourselves. So I would remove the name and just go social and emotional learning. It's one line in a larger font. I generally caution against this kind of font and tell people to go block, something like Beavis New. But this is actually pretty good. You got white on black. It's popping reasonably well. I think if you just make it a little bigger, and less of it to read, I think that'll have a big impact. The next thing I want to talk about is where it says empathy. Empathy is a subject that I am interested in. I'm passionate about. Some people have told me that you can't have a test for empathy, or you can't measure or evaluate people on empathy. And I look forward to having an epic debate one day with someone about this. I might lose, but I'm going to go down swinging and having fun. I believe that empathy is critically important. If this is a thing that we can work into teaching, and I mean, I know there are ways of doing that. My son, when he was younger in school, they would often bring a newborn to the class. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so initially I was like, that's kind of weird. Is it like adjusting them to be around people like younger kids? Is it about like how to care for a baby? That's a really young age to teach that, but I guess it's good to know at any age. And then he says, yeah, no, it was about teaching empathy. And that to this day blows my mind. I'm massively impressed that they have this program in our school district. And that it seemed to, from my observations, have an effect of doing that. And so I think that's amazing. So if we can talk about teaching empathy, just as a person, as a parent, that's something I personally find interesting. But glancing at this thumbnail, if this came up in my feed, I would have sailed right past it. My lazy eyes wouldn't have bothered reading it that carefully. It's a shame. So much people miss out on because we're lazy, and it's just the nature of us, of people. We've evolved this way. And so if there was a way to make empathy easier to read, there's a couple ways to do it. You could make that a little bit larger. Maybe you could put some block, like this might be where the block text, and maybe consistent block text might be useful. It's a cool design. The problem is when you shrink it down, it's hard to read. That's really the challenge. And that's one of the things we struggle with thumbnails, is that we don't really have tons of space to operate. You might consider making that whole part of the image just a little larger if we can find a little bit more space. Maybe taking out the animated graphic of yourself, I don't know. It's nice, I like it. The text in the bottom right-hand corner, I think it says Miss Pixelpia. I would probably remove that text as well, because it is really small. And the thing is like with thumbnails, we want real focus and focal points we can dive into. And so that's what I'm thinking. Social emotional learning, try to make that thing a little bit bigger, the empathy. One thing, an effect that you've got here that I love that you're doing is it looks like the kids are sitting on
the border of the thumbnail, and I love that. And like one of them, their back is going over just a little bit. That is a fantastic effect. Please don't lose that. That looks incredibly professional. And so if you have to sacrifice the other things I'm saying to keep that, this is just a style thing. Keep it. Another thing that you got going on here really good is you got these bright colors these kids are wearing. The purple, the blue, the red, the yellow, the green, they pop. This is the kind of things that kids might be more likely to click on because of those bright colors. I was recently in Victoria at my best friend's place, before this whole pandemic kicked off in very early February. And so there was someone there with a young child, and they were watching YouTube. And so I'm playing this board game, but out of the corner of my eye, I'm always trying to do market research for free. Like when I'm in a movie theater and the movie ends, if I'm sitting at the back, you know what I do? I watch the social media app on everyone's phone that they first open after the movie. Like, this is how obsessed I am with this craziness. And so it was funny because like years ago, it was like, okay, Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, Twitter. Interesting. I need to double down on Twitter right now. And then now it's a little bit more like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Okay, I can double down on those. And then a little bit more recently, it's like, okay, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. Oh, I don't know Snapchat. I'm bad at that. I can't double down on that right now. But I'm like, I'm gonna have to learn. So, anyways, I'm at this this friend's place. We're playing a board game, and I'm watching this small child navigate YouTube. He's sitting on his mother's lap, and he's controlling. No, he wasn't controlling the mouse. He was pointing. All he was doing is he was pointing at thumbnails, and she would click for him, and then he would watch the video. And invariably, he clicked on videos that had colors like that. I mean, generally it was rounder shapes, I noticed, but it was bright, multicolor round shapes. He was clicking on it. And I'm sitting there being like, I am such an idiot. Of course, that's what he's clicking on. Now, children aren't my audience. And so I don't know that market research helps me, but maybe it helps someone else. Now, I imagine that this is targeted at the parents list, so the children, but that's something to consider. That if you do make content as a subset of your channel or in the future, whatever, that you want to be targeted towards children, pictures like that could be very, very effective. Not only because they probably see themselves in the picture to a degree. I'm spending a lot of time on that, but I want to help. Let's dive into this here. I'm going to pause that. Let's take a look at what we've got going on. Okay, I can help here. Yes, we can do more with this, which is great. There's a lot of like low-hanging fruit, wonderful opportunities here. One thing I want to point out right off the bat, you have 4 likes and no dislikes. So that tells me that the people who watch this video that feel, and this is almost the algorithm speaking, not just me, but the people who come to this video and watch it and feel moved to click on something, like or dislike, it's 100% like. Something to be proud of right there. 100% like ratio on this. As you get a broader audience, you might capture people who are not as interested in the content, so don't be too surprised if dislikes roll in. But your like ratio is really high. That tells me that the content, for the people who stick with it, they like it. So we've got something good to work with here. Let's do something with this. So that's awesome. And also, for those of you concerned about dislikes are interactions. Dislikes actually help you in the algorithm. It gives you a tiny little micro boost. A like gives you a greater micro boost. So if you dislike this video, hey, click thumbs down. Why not? But if you're getting anything out of this, please, a thumbs up. Help more people find this. We can help more people. Remove those barriers to success on YouTube, and success can now become about the quality of our ideas and our hustle instead of we know a little technical trick. I'm going to try and give you all the technical tricks I can, because I think this channel can get more views with a few simple things. I've got TubeBuddy installed here. If you don't have TubeBuddy, I am begging you to please install it. Even the free version. There's a link down below. If you use a desktop computer or a laptop, even some of the higher-end tablets like a Microsoft Pro Surface 7, which I use, get the browser plugin, and you will get this Videolytics panel that you see on my right-hand side, and you can get all that for free. The only things on this panel that you get more by paying is the comment pinned and hearted functionality. Those will just be little dashes if you're only using the free version. But other than that, look at all this great information. So, it doesn't look like this has been liked on Facebook. So I highly recommend that you share this video somewhere on Facebook, maybe your personal page, but more effectively, if we're talking about social and emotional learning, you can't tell me that there aren't some Facebook groups out there with people interested in this kind of subject. Parents group, teachers groups, I mean, I hate to sound opportunistic, but right now, parents are facing the prospect of being their child's teacher, possibly for the first time in their lives. I'm speaking personally here. This is something that I am facing as a prospect. If we're looking at possibly 18 months of this pandemic, this could become a new normal. Or we're going to have to search out alternative sources for education. People are scrambling for resources here. I hate to sound opportunistic, but at the same time, you might be the calm, rational, educated voice that helps parents through this. And I think that there's nobility in that. So you can look at it as, hey, now it's time to cash in, or you can look at it that way. Whatever it is, I think there's a massive opportunity here, however you want to look at it. And again, as somebody who is concerned, and I think more empathy in the world is incredibly important. If your message is, here's some ways that we can instill empathy in the next generation, you have my full support in that. I think that's incredibly important. So find some Facebook group that allows some measure of sharing of this kind of content. Check the rules. As somebody who has to enforce rules in a Facebook group, please check the rules and follow them. You can share them in our group, but our group is not your target audience. We are a bunch of YouTubers. You might find people who share some of this passion, but that's going to be a limited effectiveness. You want to force multiplier. You're going to want to look at YouTube groups for teachers, parents, something like educators who are interested in this. People potentially like you. But who are maybe not creating the content, but are looking for the content. Try to find them. And so that can be very effective. You can get a lot of views that way. Also, I see that this has not been shared on Reddit. And everything that I just said about Facebook applies equally to Reddit as well. That having been said, Reddit can be a scary place. Not a lot of people... I've noticed a lot of small YouTubers are not comfortable on Reddit, and that is fine. So I have created a subreddit, Small YouTubers Boost. It's r/Small YouTubers Boost. You can go there. If you haven't created a Reddit account yet, go create a Reddit account. Come into that group. If you just follow the same rules as our Facebook group, you can share things there fine. And so it's a safe place for you to figure out, okay, when I share a link versus a text post, it looks like that versus this. Come in and share your stuff and experiment. You might find a bit of an audience. More to the point, this is your sandbox. Go self-educate, practice, play. Assuming you're not, I mean, hey, maybe you're a master Redditor and just forgot to share this one. I'm making assumptions here. But let's assume that some people watching right now aren't. And so for those people, go do that. Go play in our sandbox a little bit. Go look at how other people are sharing things. Maybe upvote a few other things. Maybe we can get a little karma for each other, stuff you like. I'm not saying scam the system. I'm saying let's support each other in our learning journeys, and gain some competence and confidence, and then start searching Reddit for communities that would love this kind of content. People who are interested in this. Search social and I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to do it right now. Let's see if we can quickly find you a community where you might want to share this. Again, if you're not familiar with Reddit, you might want to play in the sandbox a little bit first and then go do it there so you don't get banned like I did from that travel subreddit. And the comments on Reddit can be kind of harsh. Sometimes a little harsher than the average YouTube comment. So brace yourself for that. Take an extra grain of salt when reading any replies on Reddit is my advice. Not so much in our subreddit because it's a pretty safe place where people are, I think they get it. But when you find your real audience, they might be a little critical. Just brace yourself for that. And just remember, that's free market research when they're critical. The criticisms could be like, if we can get our ego out of the way and then we hear what we have to hear, then maybe we can be better next time. But that's just, I want to put some context around that. But anyways, with TubeBuddy and Videolytics, the browser plugin installed, you'll see here it has 0 upvotes. So it's either been shared on Reddit and got downvoted into obscurity, or it was never shared. I suspect it was never shared. If you see to the right of where it says upvotes, there is a box with an arrow pointing out of it in gray. I have my thing on dark mode. Click on that and it opens up a new tab. Let me make sure that's sharing. Yes. And what TubeBuddy does, I love, love, love this feature, is it searches all of Reddit for that video, and it will show you anywhere it's been shared by you or someone else. And that's awesome. Here's one of the ways it's awesome. If you have someone in your field, your genre, that you look up to, that you respect, hell, it could be competition you hate, but they're getting the views, and you want to compete with them, you can use this to see, are they sharing it on Reddit? If they're not, you can have an advantage. They're missing out on an opportunity. Or if they are sharing it, you could see the subreddits where they're doing that. You can see how they're doing that. I don't recommend stealing or copying, but it can spark an idea. Okay, they said check out my video. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say what the video is about. Check out my video about empathy. I'll say it that, and I can do a little bit better. And they shared it in this subreddit. They didn't get banned, so it's probably okay. Double check the rules. Looks fine. Share it. But anyways, I want to see if we can find you a subreddit to share this in. So I am going to search social and emotional learning here on Reddit. Early childhood education. That is, yeah. So what do we got here? UK education. So there is a Reddit here. Somebody shares a link, not necessarily a YouTube video. Let's go look at UK education. Now, I don't know your region or what you're creating this for, but if it's United States, there might be a US education. I don't know. News and discussion. I'm just quickly scrolling through Reddit here, looking to see if there's any YouTube links. I'm not seeing any. This is all news. This might not be a good place. News, politics, employment research, pedagogy. I'm saying that wrong. Social discussions. I don't know. I'm not seeing a rule specifically against it, so you could go and share it here possibly. And the worst thing that's likely to happen to you is you share it, it turns out that you violated a kind of unwritten rule, and maybe you get banned from that subreddit. Big whoop. Move on to the next. So there you go. That was a quick version of that. You can do your own more in-depth. I'm also seeing here no mentions on Twitter. So again, if you don't have a Twitter account, sign up for one. Lock down your username, because if you become an overnight success, somebody else is going to pretend to be you on Twitter, try and make money off your brand and your hard work. Don't let them. So now, you want to talk going back in time with the time machine? I'm telling you now, if you're a big success in the future and somebody grabs your username, you're going to want the time machine. So let me save future you some trouble. Go get that Twitter account, lock down the username. Even if all you do is share your video there, then at least you've got it locked down and you've established a presence. You can do something with it in the future if you want to. It will be easier if you have done this in the past. So go and create that Twitter account. And all you have to do is click share under the video here and click Twitter. And it'll pop up like this. This is as if I were to share it to Vacation Impossible. My personal thing, to make it a little less obvious you're doing the auto share, is I delete the via at YouTube. And then I just click tweet. It's that easy. It was what? Share, Twitter, and then tweet. 3 clicks. Once you sign it up, it's only 3 clicks every video. And now you're on a whole other platform. So those are some things you can do in terms of social sharing that I think are relatively quick wins, particularly that Twitter one. And for the Facebook and the Reddit, you want to find your community, your audience, your group, your subreddit, whatever it is. But once you find it, once you're there, then sharing it there is just as easy. It just takes a little bit more upfront research because you need to try and find your tribe, as they say. But once you find it, that gets a lot easier. It says here that there's no info card added, but TubeBuddy's been a little glitchy on that lately, so that could be lying, just full disclosure. If you haven't added info card, I do recommend doing it. Here's what I do to add info cards. I go to the thing in YouTube where you add the info card, and I watch my own video, and I say, do I have something for this? Whenever I bring up something, I'm like, oh, I have more on this subject. I'm referring back to an older trip. I've got a tutorial on this. And then just go and add the info cards for those things. If you haven't already, you may have already done. And then, yeah, so when you've shared it effectively on Facebook or frankly shared it lazily on Twitter, which is fine, then it'll show here that has happened. Adding captions, that's hard work. This is a 9-minute video. My trick for captions is wait for it to get auto-captioned, and I don't know what the triggers on that are. And then all you have to go in is and edit the mistakes, and that's so much faster. 9-minute video, that's still a big commitment. One thing that I like to do is I'll go through my video manager in Creator Studio Classic, and I'll just look for everything that's under 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever. Or I'll work my way up. I'll do like first everything less than a minute, then everything from 1 to 2, then 2 to 3, until my back starts hurting or I just can't take it anymore. And so that's where you can get some captioning. And that helps with the algorithm, because if the algorithm knows what you're saying, and what you're saying lines up with the title, description, and tags and comments, has high confidence that's what you're about, it will show your video to more people in search and discovery. That's SEO. I've got a couple SEO videos here on this channel that dive into that in more detail and give you specific examples of taking what I think is a bad title and making it a better title, and what is taking a not great description and making it a better description. And the funny thing is about the description, I use a joke. It's how a joke can improve your descriptions, and that way you'll hopefully remember to do it every time. So something to check out after the live stream. And then, okay, you've got a comment pinned, comment hearted but not pinned. And so, like I said, YouTube to be a success for a small YouTuber, you have a bigger advantage and a better chance if you do 100 small things. You notice I'm listing out a lot of these things. You got to share on Facebook, Reddit, Twitter. You don't have to, but it helps. Info cards, captioning, you're seeing these small things, right? If we do the small things and the big boys forget, advantage us in that little way. It helps level the playing field just a little. But that little, 5%, sometimes is all it takes between the difference between success and failure, however you measure it. So if you've hearted comments, which is great, pin one. What I like to do is I like to sort by newest first, and then I'll scroll to the oldest, and I'll find the oldest comment that is something that I would like to pin. I find this very, very interesting. That I love lunches thing, that's perfect. You could pin that. You click on the 3 dots on the right and choose pin, that's all it takes. And the thing is, all of the research I've seen, the white papers that I've tried to read, and videos I've watched, and through my personal experience, is that when you use every feature that YouTube gives you, potentially, you get these micro boosts in the algorithm. And so you have the ability to pin a comment, so do it. I think it gives you a micro boost in the algorithm. And when the algorithm loves you, that's when YouTube starts working for you. I notice here you've got some tags. I don't think you've maxed out your tags. So if you're having trouble coming up with tags, here's one for you right now. Just emotional learning, right? Some of the things here, like you're ranked number 2 on does social and emotional learning belong in school? That's cool. That's great. So, you could, and that is what is known as a long tail keyword. That keyword you're doing very effectively. So if you can come up with more things like that, trying to think. Social and emotional learning in school? Well, you have in the classroom. Yeah, that's not ranking. Anyways, at the very least, that should be maxed out, whether you're ranking on them or not. So what I would suggest doing is find little phrases in your description, because you got a robust description here, it looks like. Is social and emotional learning important? That one I think you might rank on. Maybe try that. But make sure that you're using, you have 500 characters that you can use for tags. You should be using at least 450 of those, at least 400, minimum 400. And if you're having trouble coming up with some, TubeBuddy can help. The free version will give you 3 suggestions. The paid version's way more. So that's one of the ones where you get a huge advantage in one of the paid options. If you are thinking of getting TubeBuddy, if you do decide to pay for it, don't pay full price. Please, for the love of God, don't. Go to our Facebook group, check the announcements. We got a discount code, it'll save you 20%. If you decide to go down that route. But even if you just use the free one, it'll make things better. So max out your tags as much as possible. That's, yeah. And then, pin a comment. You're replying to every comment, which is fantastic. So you're doing a lot of things there. But hopefully some of the stuff that I've talked about, the little stuff, it adds up, I think, and can make maybe all the difference. Yeah, you don't trust the TubeBuddy info card thing right now. But yeah, you could check. You have paid TubeBuddy with a discount. There you go. All right. So let's use it to maximum advantage. And I do have instructional videos here on this channel about how to use different things, the demonetization tool, best practices, which I love. One video that I think might be particularly helpful for you, it's called Uploading with TubeBuddy, and it talks about how the browser plugin helps you through the upload process. That might be beneficial. Or it might not. You might already know those things. I don't know. I have all that set up on all social media. Okay. Cool. Just start leveraging it, is my advice. Just takes a few clicks. Hopefully that was helpful for people. Sending folks from the group here. I was just about to start winding down. Okay, I'll keep going for a little bit. Let's see let's just kind of, maybe I won't do channel reviews, but let's just see what's happening in chat. I'll just kind of work my way through it here. Eat your cereal, though. I don't get that. When video games and social media truly save the day. Yeah, they can help. I mean, it's a tool like any other. And so you use it right, and it can make a big difference in a positive way. I'm very surprised people wouldn't be watching cruise videos to live vicariously. Please. Feel free. I've got plenty that are just sitting there. No, yeah, and I mean, it would be great, but I can understand. And a lot of our videos on Vacation Impossible is about like how to make the boarding process easier on yourself. And so, like, people probably aren't thinking about that right now. But maybe the living vicarious thing, I mean, from your lips to a potential audience's ears, but it doesn't seem to be happening. I wish it were. What was happening on Princess? Yeah, and our videos are focused entirely on Carnival. And so, I mean, they've had a couple people sick here and there, but nothing like the stuff on Princess. And it's all shut down for at least 30 days right now, so just got to weather the storm. I'm thinking. We'll see where things go. Sounds solid. Thank you for the review. Oh, yes, I think I gave Renal Reed a channel review previously, so you're absolutely welcome. I think that was the... I remember your channel. That was New York, right? I think. Former service member, if I'm not mistaken. So I hope that the review gave you some... implemented some of the suggestions. I hope they start performing for you. One of the big challenges as a YouTuber is we do have so much data, and it's really hard to isolate a causal relationship. Can I say that doing X will have this result? Can I make you a promise? I can't. I can talk about my personal experience. So, for example, I was talking earlier about captioning videos. I've noticed that on average, 9 to 11% of my views are with captions on. So it might be a logical fallacy, but you could infer from that, kind of abusing the transitive property here, but you could infer that I'm getting 9 to 11% more views because I caption. It's a dicey relationship, but if 9 to 11% people want captions and I'm providing it, then I'm providing something better than I would have otherwise for those 9 to 11%. I think I can say that with confidence. Relative confidence. Maybe they just don't know how to turn the captions off. That happens to me sometimes, depending on the device. But that's one of those things. Another thing, somebody today in the group was asking about info cards. And they said, do info cards actually make a positive impact? So it's difficult to say. What I can say is that on my channel, Vacation Impossible, my click-through rate on my info cards is 2.5%. So every time an info card shows up, there's a 2.5% chance that somebody's going to click on it. Maybe that number's not very high, but if those people were going to watch someone else's video instead, and I'm keeping them on my channel instead, 2.5% ain't nothing. I get 9% to 11% on the captions. I get another 2.5% on the info cards. You see what I'm talking about? 100 small things. If each thing gives you a little percentage, sooner or later we start to talk about some major increases. Ethan Fraun says, ugh, I need help with my channel. Hopefully some of this is useful for you. Let's see here. Sierra Nelson, I'm updating captions and also creating as many videos as possible. I've been keeping subs engaged with, I guess that's quote of the day, QOTD. Yeah, I guess that's quote of the day. And polls on my community tab. That's a really good point. I'm curious how people are using your community tab because I'm still kind of relatively new to using it myself. I found some relative success with polls on my travel channel, asking them their favorite cruise ship and what ship I should go on next. Obviously not my task right now. But I've had some success with polls there, and I'm still learning about that myself. I legitimately wish I had months worth of content to edit. Yeah, yes and no. I mean, it is a blessing, but it can also be a little stressful sometimes because, like, I have this controversial video on Vacation Impossible where I was getting kicked off rides at Six Flags. And because of my editing backlog, one of the things about that video is that nowhere on the ticket or on easily seeable signage or on their website did it talk about whether or not you can have a GoPro camera. And since then, partly because we complained in the video, they've updated their website and the terms and conditions and available signage. So when that video came out, a lot of people were giving us hate saying, hey man, it's on the website. I'm like, yeah, not when we filmed this. So sometimes being behind that curve can be detrimental. And that's just one simple example where I'm trying to cite a specific example that I might prompt your curiosity about. Although I don't know, you're going to watch that, you might hate me. We don't come off great in that video, I'm not going to lie. We're not perfect angels. I think Six Flags behaved worse, but that's a whole separate thing. I did not edit it to paint us in the best light. I just tried to present the facts. Because otherwise, they would just, I don't know, it's just immoral. I don't know. Not to oversell it or anything. Yeah, White Spot is absolutely doing takeout. I mean, everyone is doing takeout that's still in business. And so again, that contactless delivery thing, that might be something to look into to help support some of these businesses and yourselves and bolster your supplies through this difficult time. Dearest Boost needs to know. I'm sure he's aware. The wife can cook pretty well though, so he's probably not too worried. We have some emergency supplies as well. I've got some soup. Got a flat of Gatorade. I should probably not mention it in case looting starts to happen. We have nothing. I live in I don't know, Arkansas. Let's see here. What can I do to get out there? I'm not getting views in, and you do gaming, Mr. Sykes Gaming. Gaming is tricky because a third of all of YouTube is gaming. So it is massively, I don't know that I want to use the word saturated because that assumes that there's a saturation point and the number of people watching YouTube grows daily. So I don't know that that's a fair way of looking at it, but there's so much competition. So standing out against your competition is problematic. The general advice I give gaming channels is niche down as much as you can. If you're just about one platform, if you're just about Nintendo, if you're just about retro games or modern games, if you're just about RPGs or first-person shooters, try to figure out what you're just about in any of those three or other categories. Do you do long plays, let's plays, reviews, comedic takes? What do you do? Mashups? I don't know. Whatever it is that you do, try to figure out and confine yourself as much as possible to a niche, and so that you can get some algorithmic advantage there, and try to put that as early in your description as possible and make it as clear in your channel art as possible so that people instantly know what you're about. And then if you're their tribe, they'll be more likely to sign up. If you try to appeal to everyone in gaming, it's going to be like screaming in a concert. No one's going to hear you. And so beyond that, some general advice is to maybe interact with other creators. Comment on other videos, but don't do it in a way that promotes your channel. Do it in a way that tries to add value to what's going on. Compliment them on that speed run. Maybe say like, oh, hey, just so you know, at the 3-minute mark, there's this extra power up you missed, or whatever it is. Can you tell my metaphors are retro gaming from Nintendo? Can you tell that's my thing? But whatever it is, so try to be helpful. And then other people, whether it's the content creator or their viewers, they'll see you being helpful potentially, and they'll be like, this guy knows his stuff. This chick's funny. I'm going to go check out her stuff. Her comment was funny. When you add value that way, that's an opportunity for people to discover you that way in the community. And so that's a way you can do it without turning people off or getting in trouble with YouTube for spam. So those are some of the things you can do, but it's a tough niche. That having been said, be glad you're a gamer and not a travel channel right now. People are home playing games. So in terms of what's going on in the world right now, I don't think it's disadvantaging you. It might even be an opportunity, although I kind of don't like describing it that way, but I think you kind of get what I'm saying. I ship... And then rodent elf... You almost got me. Nice. That's very funny. Yeah, I saw you subscribe to the channel, so thank you. And hey back. Let's see here. Fixing thumbnails, cool. Thumbnails are just so important. Everyone can be better at thumbnails. I need to get better. The problem with thumbnails is there's no objective better. It's so subjective, and that's what's really hard. So, I can give advice, take it with a grain of salt. It's my personal taste. Some of the advice might be practical. Some of it's just taste. And that's one of the... Thumbnails are art. And so there's no objective measure. But it's so critical to success on this platform. So it's a hard thing. I'm just a consumer, so if I'm going to stumble onto a new to me channel, a good thumbnail and title will make or break whether or not I'll watch. 100%. 100%. Let's see here. I use a free editing app, and every video on my phone, it's hard to believe, but all 500 plus videos have been edited on my phone. And, there are some people out there that really provide good support for creators who exclusively use their phones. That is not me. I've edited like one thing on my phone once, and I found it to be tedious and difficult. I obviously didn't have a proper app for it or anything. I'm really a desktop guy. I use the TubeBuddy mobile app and the YouTube Studio mobile app for like uploading, tagging, tracking milestones, responding to comments, things like that. But in terms of creating on the phone, I'll film a lot on my phone because right now this is the only thing I have that records in 4K. Mixed feelings about that. Oh, and one of my GoPros is 4K as well. Other than those two things, and I'm trying to make this full transition to 4K, I'm rendering everything at 4K, but I might not be capturing everything at 4K. But I got my DSLR, so like there's stills that'll be in a higher resolution and stuff as well. So, so I use my phone to a limited degree, so I might not be the greatest support for that. But I can help explain other things. I like iMovie for editing. A lot of people do. I think James Rolfe used it for the longest time too. Melanie outing herself in the group, associating with her name, her channel. Wow. I just say that because she doesn't promote her channel very much, so I'm just razzing her a little. Now I'm curious how old you are. Me? I'm 39. Can you tell I'm thrilled about it? Let's see. And improving my thumbnails really helped with traffic. Yeah, it's probably the biggest thing people can do short of uploading a new video. The algo goes crazy. I want lemonade so badly. What did lemonade most taste like? I guess Orange Crush, but a little less sweet. And they messed up High C a few years ago when they took all the sugar out. But it's kind of like High C kind of used to be, but a little less sweet than it used to be. But it's worth a try. It's certainly funny. Just reading every part of that bottle. I mean, you can go watch my video. I'll read it to you. But even that's just fun. I like that. I like a good sense of humor. Thumbnails are the most important, then titles, then increasing your watch time. If you can get 70% plus watch time, it'll trigger the algorithm. See, a lot of people present that stuff as if they are absolutely 100% certain, and it's worth noting that this is all theory. So it's interesting because he says 70% plus watch time. But my understanding is that that's not the case, because what that is that's something called retention percentage. And retention percentage used to be more popular and important than it is now. My understanding from the more recent white papers about the algorithm is that it's anticipated watch time. So if you have a 1-minute video and you get 100% retention, and someone else has a 10-minute video with a 50% retention, the algorithm's going to favor the 10-minute video, even though the retention percentage is lower, because the anticipated watch time is 5 minutes as opposed to 1. It wants to keep people on the platform for longer. That is its goal above everything else. And so if it thinks that it can get 5 times as much watch time out of one video than another, then the percentage doesn't matter. It's about the anticipated watch time. And so that is what really triggers the algorithm, as has been explained by numerous people in various white papers. So I hesitate to disagree. I agree with you. The thumbnails are important. Titles are incredibly important. We've got a video here about writing titles for SEO. And increasing watch time is critically important as well. But the retention thing, if it's a high retention on a short video, it's not going to necessarily work the magic you want. All over Reddit now, this. What is? Leninade? Or the thing that What the Hales was saying? Same for me with my Michigan accent article. I wrote it for fun, and now it's all over the radio. Radio? Oh, so like I guess some disc jockeys like read your article and were talking about it? That would be amazing. It got 0 traffic when it came out. Yo, that's talking about that long tail thing, like the Leninade thing. Yeah, the little soldier that just, or think about it like the Voyager probes that are out there in space and doing who knows what right now. Maybe forming V'ger. Star Trek nerding out. I gotta watch out for that. That'll make people click off. What's really cool for thumbnails is if you're not sure which will be better, you can test both with TubeBuddies called A/B testing. You upload both, and TubeBuddy will tell you how each performs. That's true. I haven't used it myself yet. I can't speak from personal experience because I haven't invested the time in that yet. But I know that's something that Achilles Melee had experimented a little bit with to some success and wants to do more with. She's a mod, yeah. John singing. I do have a custom one. I don't understand. How are you getting sub? And again, I caution people from jumping to conclusions when there seems to be a disconnect, because again, there are so many things that can cause people to subscribe or to view. You could just have a really attractive profile picture or something. Sometimes I will, it's rare, but I might encounter a channel in my scrolling, in my experience in the world, and I might subscribe as like a bookmark to remind myself to come back and check it out later. And so in that case, I may have subscribed to a channel without watching it. It's not common that I do that, but if I do it sometimes, there might be some people who do it a lot. It's entirely possible. So it's difficult to account for that. Let me take a look at Social Blade. I'm active in many live streams and I have a lot of friends. That's cool. So sorry for spamming the group. Okay, then thank you. Let's see here. No more Pixelpia teaching and learning in the thumbnails. Yeah, I mean, getting your branding in the video is good, just not at that early point. It's like the whole thing about people asking for subscriptions and likes, like the top of the video. My general preference that can be psychological priming, whole other thing. There's a video about it on the channel. As an audience person, I don't know you yet. You've provided no value to me yet. You're asking for something from me already. And so I think that once you've provided that value to some degree, then that's the time to get maybe that personal branding in there. So for example, in the video, if you've just landed what you think is a good point, maybe that's a great time to slowly fade in your channel name, like as a graphic overlay or something, so that maybe they make that connection. Wow, that was really smart. What was her name again? Oh, there it is. Okay, that might be, or that'd be the moment to say like, hey, subscribe please, or something. I think that's really effective. Sending people to this feed via the group. That was to be a blackboard. Oh, okay. I mean, and a blackboard would have higher contrast, especially if it was like legitimately black, not green. That might work good too. I targeted a few specific people on my personal page, I think, that could benefit from this. Oh boy, you're so cute. Thank you. A fair bit of engagement. I think that was talking about this video I was looking at. Saying, yeah, TubeBuddy is amazing. Boy, and like seriously, if I get that time machine, TubeBuddy's one of the things I'm getting as soon as I step out of it on the other side. First few seconds are important to attract your viewers to watch the end. Yeah, and that's something I need to learn more about. That's another moderator that we've got here. I think that's Shivam. And so great to have another mod here in the show. Thanks for joining us. Once again, I can't give enough love to my mods. They keep me sane. Well, saner. But yeah, the first few seconds are critical, and I need to learn how to do that effectively. Because honestly, right now, I don't think I do. I just don't. I need to learn how to hook people in that first 10 seconds. I think it might be one of the things holding me back. I'm planning to make some videos for parents that are forced to homeschool right now. Yeah. Teacher groups on Reddit, but they are hard. I'm sure they are, because it's that whole self-promotion thing. You want to strike that right balance of being helpful. I'm subbed to your subreddit. Awesome. Haven't used it yet. That's fair. I haven't been to the subreddit in a while. Me neither. There might be a backlog of things to take care of on the mod panel. I don't know. Mods, if you're mods in the group, I'll be happy to make you a mod of the subreddit as well. Because right now I think it's me and Achilles Melee. And I love him, but I don't think he's doing anything on the subreddit. Reddit is a completely different animal. It took me a couple of days to understand it. My posts were being deleted left and right. And that is, yeah, meek photos, you're right. That's part of the process. I think that you got to get a little bit of a black eye, bloody nose, whatever on Reddit as part of like, I don't want to call it hazing, but it's kind of like part of the learning process is you stumble before you can climb kind of thing. And so that's why I really wanted to put the context around it of not to take it personally. And I want our sandbox just so you can be like, oh, that's what it looks like. Better for you to explore like, oh, this is what a text post versus a link post looks like. Better to do that in a safe space instead of somewhere else where people will jump down your throat. And you're like, oh, I didn't realize it would look like that. Or I didn't know it would show that way. Melody, I love Reddit, but I'm a, let's say, jerk. So it jives with my personality, and I don't think she is a jerk. Looks like Neville's Taylor was asking for some help, but retracted the message. Advice on getting more subscribers and views. I think we've talked about that intermittently throughout this stream. We've also got other videos on the channel that you can check it out. It's kind of a super broad question, and we do a video about like how to get more subscribers, so I recommend looking at that after this live stream. How often should you be posting? Every week? And what day and time of the week is the most effective? Ramon Campos, great question. Do you necessarily need to focus on a niche when you first start? There's some good questions in there. I would say once a week is really, yeah. If you want to be serious about YouTube, you should be posting once a week. Just because of the way the algorithm works. Because you want to always have a video with a new tag, and that new tag lasts 7 days. So I would say a week is the floor, but never more than once a day as a ceiling. Oh, can I make it through the rest of this live stream without hitting the tums? Let's see. What day and time of week is most effective? know where your audience is. Look into your analytics to see what country and hopefully, therefore, what time zone you can figure out that they're in. And I would recommend a couple different times to target. I generally recommend against posting anything later than 3 p.m. in your most popular time zone. Because after that is where people, like kids, get out of school around 3 p.m. People get off work at 5. So you might be capturing the post-school, post-work crowd, depending on the age of your audience. Anything later than, say, after 5 p.m. gets a little dicey for that important first hour and the first 24 hours. So that's my general advice, and probably not earlier than, say, 8 or 8:30 in the morning. And in terms of day of the week, you should look at your own metrics. I would not worry about day of the week too much. Weekends are good because people have more free time, though. So posting on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, probably better days, depending on your genre and your niche. But I say not to worry about it because try to get something out every week. But if you're off by a day or two, don't stress on it. I just worry about people who have rigid schedules that, that I'm going to commit to these 2 days. I'm going to put it in my banner. I'm going to tell the world. And then then you're going to stumble and you're going to beat yourself up, and you're going to have that people have that tendency to apologize in their video for it being late, but people don't care. And so that actually turns people off the channel. So you do yourself harm that way. And so I really recommend don't be too rigid in your thinking. My thinking is that if you've hit 5 p.m., then maybe hold it for the next day. Maybe do that. And then just generally strive for one a week is sort of my general advice there. Do you need to focus on a niche when you first start? Yeah. Do you want to succeed early or late? The more you niche down, the more the algorithm will promote your content. You want to do better in search and recommended, then you want to niche down. That having been said, maybe you haven't found your why yet. Or to plug the other book that these are just books that I like, but I do have affiliate links down below. Also, the work of Andrew Matthews talks about following your heart and being happy. And so if you haven't fully found that yet, experimenting is fine. But if it's game time for you, it was November 2016, I think. I was in my bedroom, and I just said, I'm sick of not being a success on YouTube. And I joined the Small YouTubers Boost group the next month. And I've been educating myself more seriously ever since. If you're at the point where you're ready to say that, then niching down is a smart thing to do. But if it's early days, you want to experiment, you don't know what you're passionate about yet, you haven't found your why yet, maybe read Simon Sinek's books, linked down below, or watch his TED Talk, or something else that kind of go through your own visioning journey, whatever it is, to discover what it is you're passionate about. Once you have that, then niche down as far specifically into that as you can if you care about the numbers. If you don't care about the numbers, it's just artistic expression, then that's fine. But don't come crying to me when you're saying that the algorithm's not showing me in search and recommended. Not to sound too harsh there. But it's like, there were some people, this was a crazy thing in the group a couple weeks ago. There was a couple people, I remember I was traveling for work, and people in the group were like, oh, and I hear Pixel updated some thumbnails based on my feedback. I really hope that works well for you. But some people were posting in the group, and they were like, I'm not getting the views I deserve. I'm not getting enough views. What's going on? And so I had some time, so I was like, okay, I want to help them, right? And so I went looking through the group, and I couldn't find their channel. I went looking on their Facebook page, their About tab. They'd never posted a link to their channel. And so, okay, like maybe there's reasons why you're not sharing it, either in our group, which is closed and private once you're in, or a little bit more publicly on your page or your About section. But if you're not sharing it there, then how can you be complaining about views and saying, how am I not getting views to this channel that I hide from the world? Like, it was a logical inconsistency for me. It's absolutely fine if you don't want your friends and family to know your channel. Maybe they're not your target audience. Maybe you want to achieve some measure of success before you kind of come out of the closet to them about being a YouTuber. I can understand that. I can identify with that a little bit. I mean, people have looked down their nose at me a lot for a lot of goals that I've had over the years. I can appreciate that hurts. And that can sting, or maybe it won't, but you don't want to risk it right now, and I'm fine with all of that. But if in the same breath you're going to say that you're not getting the views you want, but you're not asking for help, you're asking for help from me, but not the people who actually know you, it's a logical inconsistency for me that makes it harder to motivate me to help your channel. So that was, and That's a little bit of a side thing, but it's similar to the niche thing. If they say, well, I just want to be a personality and I want to have a variety channel and I do vlogs about anything and everything. If that's what you want, that's fine, but make a conscious choice that you're doing that at the cost of the algorithm working for you. And you're potentially doing that at the cost of the views. And that's a fine choice, but just make the choice and don't blame people who are trying to help you for it. Is my thoughts on niching down. Those were some great questions, Ramon Campos. Thank you for that. What can I do to improve my view and subscriber count? Yeah, pretty broad question. We've got other videos on the channel that can probably help you with that. Could you compare that with my later videos? I'm running out of steam. My voice is getting a little hoarse. So I think I'm just going to kind of wrap up things in chat here. Oh, my chat's scrolling without my permission. Sugar Cat is here in chat. Welcome. Creating videos based on keyword research is a very effective thing if you care about the numbers. Absolutely. Looks like there's some good conversation in chat about SEO. There's a new SEO tool in TubeBuddy I haven't tried out yet, but I watched some videos about it. It looks pretty cool. Oh, Amanda's Right Life is here. I'm wrapping things up, unfortunately. Maybe I'll get a chance to do this again soon, hopefully. I don't know. 3.7% on your cards. Well, you're doing better than me. Oh, wow, that's a lot. My channel gets few captioned views. Well, also, yours is about pronunciation, so I can't imagine that captions are very effective for that. People would need to hear it for it to be its maximum effectiveness. Whereas me telling you how to check in online, the text will work just as well as the video, especially because it'll be, with captions, a text overlay on top of the screen that you need to click on. Yeah, I respect people who caption. It is tedious work. Google automatic captions. Grammarly, yeah, I could learn to use those tools. Apparently there's an auto-captioning app on some phones, but my phone isn't new enough to run it. But Achilles Melee was playing around with that. I was like, oh, I want that. Oh, I can't have that. Until I upgrade. Awesome stream. How often should you be posting? Yeah, I talked about that. Oh, wait, now it's scrolling up on me. Yeah, a niche can help. Gaming's very tricky. Go Dogsful is One Adventure is back in chat. Thanks for joining us. I do like RPG games. Specking, I'm not familiar with that term. League of Legends, okay. It's fairly popular. Playthroughs, hacks of Pokemon games. Pokemon's very popular. How-to videos can be very effective because they provide a high value to people and they're really searchable. People are searching to know how to do things. I'm constantly searching for how to do things in adventure mode on Hyrule Warriors. Especially people who are a little older and have a little less free time because they've got all these bloody hobbies, like spending time with you fine people. And so, like, I want to sit down and play a game, but I don't have time to, like, screw around and try 20 different things. So I, more than I did when I was younger, will often look up things online just so I can get to the point of it because I just don't have the time. It feels like cheating a little bit sometimes, but it's like, well, if I have to choose that or play the same level 20 times with the only hour I have to game today, I had to make a different choice. And so I could be a potential audience if the only Pokemon game I play is Pokemon Go. And Amanda, I think we added each other. So I'm out of gifts right now because I'm not spinning any Pokestops because I'm stuck at home. But yeah, search volumes are interesting to look at. Melanie's 35. Interesting. I would have guessed younger, for whatever that's worth. Partly because I know you're in school, and that's just something that people associate that particular way. We need to songify him. Ray's going hard. What was it that I said on a previous live stream? Do you go balls deep in your community? I'm really thinking about making a t-shirt that says something like that. Sheila, she's beautiful. Irvin says, great live. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Great video. Really appreciate it. People are agreeing. So anyways, I am tired. And so I think I'm probably going to wrap up this live stream, but I do appreciate everyone's time. And hopefully this was educational, useful, a distraction. I don't know. I really respect everybody spending their time with me. And we're all going through some difficult challenges right now, and I really I just think that everyone deserves a lot of credit for doing what they're doing to try and lessen the problem right now, flatten the curve and all that. I'm 100% on board with that. Taking the pressure off of medical people, and so it's what it's like. It's kind of a little bit, a slight analogy is my philosophy when I'm on a plane, ironically. I mean, I'm a travel guy, everything relates to travel. My philosophy when I'm on a plane is I want people to not even know I'm there, which is so not YouTube, right? Like, you'd think I'd be advertising my channel wearing a ball cap with it and shouting it from the rafters. I have pens if you need a pen. But honestly, when I'm on a plane, if people are orderly and don't monopolize the cabin steward's time, then you might get off the ground earlier, you might land a little earlier, save a little time. So my goal is to be like unless you engage me in a conversation, unless you start a conversation with me, I will basically try to be the most forgettable person you've ever flown next to or behind or in front of. So like when I'm doing that tray table, right? It's like a little mini game that I try to close it and have the person in front of me not even know that it was open in the first place, right? I don't ask a question unless it's absolutely critical. I bring games on my phone, videos on my phone, my tablet, whatever. I take responsibility for my own entertainment because the resources and the ratio of the staff to the guests is not great. And so I want it to be easier for them. They don't have an easy job. I want to reduce the overall costs of things and, reduce delays. And so we are kind of all in an airplane together right now, which is the last place anybody should or wants to be. But it's a little bit like that. We don't want to put the strain on, the emergency services out there, or frankly, the grocery store clerks, who are, still having to work in this situation, and obviously can't from home. And so I think that to try and reduce whatever burden we are as much as possible is really good. And so I think that just knuckling down and working on our YouTube channel and maybe trying to help entertain other people or inform other people or do something like that, I think it's a contribution we can all make. And that's the thing that's hard right now. Most of the people watching are probably not doctors. They're probably not nurses. Edwin DeCastro is watching in Cambodia. That is awesome. And so, some of the ways we can support these people. It's interesting. Some people have been spreading online about if you know a medical professional, thank them. And I like the thought and the heart that goes into that. Part of me is like, let them sleep. Maybe now isn't the time to ring them up and be like, hey, I think you're doing a great job. You're like, okay, I'm trying to sleep right now. I like the thing about if they need groceries, offer to get them that or whatever we can to support them. But I think that an important thing that we can all do right now, and it's hard because it's an inactive thing to a degree, is just to get the hell out of the way. And that's staying in our homes and keeping ourselves entertained and having passion projects to work on, hopefully, so that we can come out of this maybe with some new skills, some new appreciation for nurses and doctors and grocery store clerks and police officers and transit workers and people who are having various challenges in this time. And so I'm getting a little preachy here, but I just want to say, you're here with me and, not bothering a nurse. And so I just want to say thanks for that. And so I always try, because I am Vacation Impossible guy, I try to end these live streams with something that you can specifically do for your channel. But I want to do something a little different this time, I think. And honestly, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is go find something funny to watch on YouTube. Go let yourself have a moment of levity. Go find a laugh. On Vacation Impossible, there's the funny playlist. Go watch a college humor video or something. They've got some that make fun of YouTubers. There's every makeup vlogger ever, every gamer ever, every YouTuber ever. Go watch one of them, watch them poke a little fun at our genre, but just take a break. Take a break. Go have a laugh. Just do something for yourself, and then go wash your hands. That is your mission if you choose to accept it. Just go watch something funny. And you know what? If that funny thing gives you a moment of levity, then give it a thumb up. put a comment on that video, whether it's mine, College Humor, Dorkly, some other thing, whatever's out there, so that maybe we can have other people have those moments of levity too. Help those channels in their algorithm. Make the comment nice. Maybe someone will come check you out. But, you know, go take care of yourselves. And, you know, we're here for you. If you've got questions, if you're watching this on the replay, hit the comment because the chat will be locked down. If you got a question, I'll answer it if I can. If there's something you'd like to see on the channel, let us know. Join the Facebook group. Join the conversation there. There's a whole community there that's on a similar journey that you are. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you. And so thank you. I hope some of this was helpful. And I will see you in the Facebook group. Thank you so much for watching. And this live stream will self-destruct in 5 seconds.